All right, Shalom Israel, Shalom, Shalom, Brother Nakwam.
Shalom, Shalom, Brother Ryan.
Coming back at you with another Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, our honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach Kumalak Yabushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach Kumalak Yabushai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the men of the Lord who are out there on the highways and byways, the mighty men pushing this truth, magnifying the name of Yahweh Yahushai, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, Shalom. Shalom to all of the men that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying. They're fasting. They're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, Shalom. Shalom to all of the sisters out there, the Akwaf out there, widows, married, unmarried, holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, being submissive and diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, Shalom.
Shalom to the whole entire nation, fasting, praying in the last days, doing everything they could do, keeping the feast of dedication with all their might and soul, magnifying the name of the Lord, singing, dancing, praising, and reading the accounts of our forefathers, man. Staying in the spirit in the last days. Shalom.
And the topic of this Monday Night Fire is addressing false doctrines, right? Volume 1. We want to take some time and maybe do a series, maybe a 3-part, maybe 4-part, right? You know, according to the will and spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, right? Man's goings of the Lord. How can a man understand his own way? We want to address various doctrines our people struggle with. You know, we get a lot of questions via email. We deal with Q&As, you understand, and you got brothers coming into this truth, and everybody's trying to figure out how do we go about serving the Most High in terms of doctrine and understanding. So we want to just deal with different doctrines that our people struggle with. They deal with some things in the world. You know, a lot of people who may be in this truth and they may be on a comment board or watching videos, they may have questions, right? And we get a lot of these questions, so we want to be able to deal with it according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, right? And this is strictly about the precepts and the scriptures. And if we have time, I know brothers asked on the comment board a few things. So we're going to deal with that. But we had 2 we want to deal with. The first one, I'm going to actually put it on here so brothers can understand. And like I said, this is going to be a series, right? So various doctrines are going to be put to the test. And we're going to do our best to present the opposing side argument as well, right? You know, being that, you know, we're in this thing, we hear both sides. So we're not just going to give you one side. You know, we're going to bring up the opposition, tackle key points as much as we can, as thorough as we can, and deal with it through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. Right now, if you're looking at on the live, I'll post it on here. The first thing we're going to deal with, and rather we deal with one topic for, you know, 45 minutes or an hour or 15 minutes, it's all according to the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. So the first thing we're going to deal with is multiple wives. You know, we did a clubhouse room this past Friday going into the law. You know, people was on the chat trying to figure out how to deal with it. You know, is it lawful? Is it unlawful? Some people on the comment board saying it's not lawful. Some men saying it is lawful. So we're going to go and show you not what man say, but what Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua said, man. And if you don't mind, I want to get one precept. I want to kick it off real quick.
Bring it out.
Right. Let's get a precept that everyone that's been in this thing for quite some time, you should be well equipped with. Right. This is the book of St. Matthew, chapter 5 and verse 17. Right, I want to read this one first and foremost. This is Matthew 5 and 17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. So that's plain, right? We understand that Yahushua did not come to destroy the law. There are certain things within the law that Yahushua came to fulfill, certain things in the Psalms he came to fulfill, certain things in the prophets he came to fulfill, right? But also the Lord has become a sacrifice. So certain penalties that were under the old covenant are now being granted mercy through repentance and faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua through Hamashiach Yahushua, man. So adultery, breaking the Sabbath day, blasphemy, being a sodomite, playing a whore. These were things that you could not be justified with under the law of Moses, but Yahushua came to give us forgiveness for the sins that are worthy of death and other sins as well. But to say that the law is done away with and now you can eat pork and certain precepts are done away with, or the Sabbath you don't have to keep anymore, that's absolute madness. And we're going to touch on it. We can't just apply Matthew 5:17 when we're dealing with Christians on the highways and byways and a Sabbath day and pork. We want to be able to apply the precepts in its totality. You got it, King.
Khan. And with that being said, I'm going to go to Psalm chapter 19 and verse 7. Because just because you want His truth, or, just because you have the understanding, you don't want to walk in that old man, like in Christianity. You don't want to walk with that old blind understanding, right? This is the book of Psalms, chapter 19 and verse 7. The law of the Lord is perfect, converting the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple. So the Lord said that the law is perfect. So as you go to these words, and I'm going to get this quick precept in the book of Psalms, chapter 12, right? So the law is perfect. You can't look at the law, you understand? Now, there's certain things in the law that were carnal, right? Like a physical menorah or physical sacrifice, foretelling something greater and more spiritual, more complete, as in Yahushua. But there's nothing that's in the law that's wicked. This is the book of Psalms, right? Chapter 12 and verse number 6. It said the words of the Lord are pure words. So everything that's in the law are pure words. You can't come up against it because you're emotional, because you feel some type of way, or because you've been doctrinized with this westernized mindset, man. Or you've been to so many sermons of Christianity and God knows what, or false ideologies and breakdowns. The Lord said the words of the Lord are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. Meaning His word was purified 7 times. We know that 7 is a number of completion. Right. Tried meaning it went through the fire. Meaning everything that the Most High has said is perfect, man. You can't come up against it, negate it, or refute it. Right? You got it.
Yeah, and you made a good point. We got to take emotions out when we're dealing with the word of the Most High God. We have to take the Western mindset that we have been poisoned with and completely wash it and be clean. Did not the Most High say, and these are fundamental precepts, right? These are fundamentals. Romans, and these precepts have to be applied to your entire life in the truth and your complete understanding of the Bible, man. Romans 12 and 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of the Most High. Right. So the only way to, prove what is good to the Most High and what's acceptable is to renew your mind. So your understanding of the diet, your understanding of holy days or holidays, how the world calls them, your understanding of how to dress, your understanding on how marriage operated, how children operated, particular customs, traditions, mannerisms, behaviors of us as a people, you wouldn't know that until you renew your mind. So you have to wash away the filth that you were dealing with and come into this knowledge without your emotions. If you let your emotions come in, then your mind is going to be perverted. You cannot be emotional as an Israelite, man. Remember, we are not Americans. We're not Edomites. We're not so-called white people. We are a Semitic, not saying they aren't Semitic, but we are an ancient Semitic people from the East. So our customs, our marriage, our behavior, things are different. And just because you're in America, you can't be an Americanized Israelite, huh? You can't turn the scriptures. It's make them effeminate. Now I got one quick precept, one more real quick. This Psalms chapter 119. This is just a preliminary precept. Psalms 119 and 165. Right? Psalms chapter 119 and 165. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. So if you love the law, you can't be offended at anything in the law. Yahushua reinforced that in St. Matthew 11 and 6 and says, blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me. You understand? Those words will have to be relayed back to John the Baptist in that account, man. and to the men that he sent. You can't be offended at the word of God. Just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's wicked. Just because you're emotional about a particular situation doesn't mean it's unrighteous. Your feelings and your emotions cannot superimpose what the scriptures are saying. Or you can't superimpose your emotions on the Bible. Now, otherwise, you're no better than these pastors. And these pork chop eating, bacon eating, damn pedophile loving, wicked money hungry, bloodthirsty, evil men who operate every Sunday morning, man. You cannot, again, I'm going to say this again. When you're reading the Bible, have an ancient mind. Have an Eastern ancient mind. And take your emotions out. And you'll prosper when it comes to the Holy Spirit supping with you and providing the proper understanding. You got it, King.
Khan, exactly. And this is the book of Proverbs, chapter 8 and verse number 7. It says, "For my mouth shall speak truth, and wickedness is an abomination to my lips." So the Lord said everything that he speaks is the truth. And wickedness is an abomination to the Lord's lips, man. So you can't come out and say, well, multiple wives is evil. It's wicked. You shouldn't be doing this. When does it say in the Bible that when the Most High created a law, that just because you're in a captivity, that you have to keep the laws of the land over the laws of the Most High, man? I think that's a stumbling block for a lot of people. The Most High is above everything, man. It's above Esau. It's above what this westernized mindset, damn customs and laws bring to you. But a lot of people trip up with that because they're so brainwashed with TV, movies, media, right? Even when you were a child and you were a little girl, man, you got the Ken doll and you got the little Barbie doll, right? And even since you were damn 2 years old, 3 years old, you've been brainwashed into this thing. Brainwashed, walking down the aisle, have to have a tuxedo, right? The women throwing a bouquet over her head, man. Where does it say that in the scriptures? Right. You gotta have a best man. Then you have the backup best man, which is your damn cousin. You got your uncle all the way to the left, man. And there's somebody cracking jokes. It's not biblical. So you have to go inside of the scriptures and find out what the Most High said. How to consecrate a marriage. What is a marriage? Vows. How to maintain a marriage. All of these things are written. It says, all the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing forward or perverse in them. They are all plain to him that have understanding. So the Lord said, if you have understanding in the law, it's plain. The law is plain, but so is the stumbling blocks to the wicked, like the Lord says, and right to them that find knowledge. So when you withdraw your emotions and feelings out of the word, you understand, you start to see clearly. That's why the Lord said this. Let me get one more. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 40 and verse 7, the classic. Then said I, lo, I come in the volume of the book. What does that mean, man? When the Lord says he comes in a volume of the book, what does it say? He just represents the New Testament. The Lord is the God of the whole Bible. You cannot pick and choose, pluck and weed, get goggles and microscopes on what you specifically want to keep and what you don't. You would be a hypocrite. You'd be no better than the Christian church, man. The Lord said the whole Bible, the whole book is written in the volume of him, man. So every word from the Old Testament to the New, from what Adam did in the garden, all the way to the time of John, is about Yahushua. And if you take away from that, you're essentially taking away from the Most High and his beloved son. Now, like what we always go to the breakdown and the metaphor in, you can't have the Lord and then take his pinky away or take his arm away and then just look at the Lord for how you want to look at the Lord as, man. You got to take the Lord or not. You got to take him or leave him. You either with the Lord or against the Lord. You got it.
Yeah, and that's true, man. And here's the law, right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 2. Ye shall not add unto the word which I command you, neither shall ye diminish aught from it, that ye may keep the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you. So what the Most High gave us through the hand of Moses, I mean, there's no altering. This is not the United States Constitution where you can ratify something or amend something. The word amend means to change. They have an X amount of amendments that they have done to this so-called white man's constitution. Now, the Most High said in Proverbs, I believe chapter 24, and I want to make sure I get this precept right. I believe that's 11 or 21. Let me see. Proverbs 24 and 21, right? This is what the Most High said. My son, fear thou the Lord and the king, and meddle not with them that are given to change. So you can't deal with it. They're unpredictable. Why would you want to deal? That's like you dealing with somebody schizophrenic. You want to have a strong bond, a relationship, and make a business partner with somebody bipolar, or that their mind doesn't operate like that. 1 minute they want to do this, the next minute they want to do this. They're unstable or unstable, rather. The Most High doesn't change. We know that, Malachi 3 and 6, right? The book of Hebrews, the 6th chapter, the immutability of his counsel is documented, right? James chapter 1, the Lord said there is no shadow of turning for the Most High. Hebrews chapter 13 and 8 says Yahweh Shai Mashiach is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So the Most High said you can't change this word. Why would you want to change it? Why would what you have to say is better than what the Most High said? You can't add or diminish aught from it, man. That's Revelation chapter 22 and 18. Right? Let me get that real quick. Right? Revelation chapter 22 and 18. Right? Revelation chapter 22 and 18. For I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book. If any man shall add unto these things, the Most High shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. And that's no joke. Right? That's no games, man. The Most High is dead serious. You think the Most High is mocked? Right? That's Galatians 6 and 7. You are playing yourself. Be not deceived. The Most High is not mocked. For whatsoever man soweth, that shall he also reap. So if you're sowing confusion and madness in the earth, then the Most High is going to get up with you, man. The Lord also said, Salakia, Ecclesiastes 8 and 11, man, because sentence against an evil work is not executed speedily. Therefore, the heart of the sons of men is fully set in them to do evil. Meaning, a lot of people may push a doctrine, whether it's in Christianity or Islam, or even you may have fringes on, and the Most High didn't cut you down immediately. Therefore, you think that it's acceptable to speak such words, man. But the Most High is going to get up with every one of us, man. The Most High is going to render unto each and every one of us according to our works. So aren't we not to walk in the fear of the Lord, man? And not the fear of man, right? You got a king. I got a precept after you.
Kyle, you can go and get your precept.
All right, I want to get. Let me get Genesis the 16th chapter, right? I just want to get a precept dealing with it. Now, this is Genesis chapter 16 and verse 1, right? Let's see our father Abraham. Now, last time I checked, it says, hold on, Salaki, let me get this one preliminary, king. Genesis 26 and 5. Genesis 26 and 5, because that Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandment, my statutes, and my laws. So Abraham kept the law, statutes, and the commandments. There are laws given way before Moses, man. Genesis, the 4th chapter, clearly explains that. Genesis, the 39th chapter, Genesis, the 38th chapter, Genesis, the 34th chapter, Genesis, the 28th chapter, Genesis, the 35th chapter, right? And the 30th chapter, the 31st chapter, all of these chapters show how the law is being implemented before Moses even came on the scene. So Abraham kept the law. There's no account of the Most High charging Abraham with folly. There's no account of the Most High charging Abraham with sin. Even Manasseh said in the prayer. When you read the prayer of Manasseh, he says, O God of our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, which have not sinned against thee. So these men, there's no account of them violating the Most High's law. I'm going to show you something that Abraham did. Right? Now, if this was off, then the Most High surely would have came to Abraham. Huh? Right? Genesis 16 and 1. Now Sarai, Abraham's wife, bare him no children, and she had a handmaid, an Egyptian, whose name was Hagar. Now Sarai said unto Abram, behold, now Yahweh hath restrained me from bearing. I pray thee, go in unto my maid. It may be that I may obtain children by her. And Abraham hearkened to the voice of Sarah. Remember, Sarah was well stricken in age. It ceased to be with her after the manner of women. She said, look, she was so loyal and faithful to her husband to bring him a seed. She said, look, if you can't lay with me, you want to lay with somebody else. Right? That's love right there. Right? That's a rare thing to go by. Right? Verse 3. Here's the point. And Sarai, Abram's wife, Now, that's not Sarah, it says Sarai. I'm not pronouncing that wrong. Sarai is a Shariah in the Hebrew, which means my princess. The Most High removed that Yah from the end of it, and her name is now known as Sarah, which means princess, right? So Genesis 16:3. And Sarai, Abram's wife, took Hagar, her maid, the Egyptian, and Abraham had dwelt 10 years in the land of Canaan, and gave her to her husband to be his wife. And he went in unto Hagar, and she conceived. And when she saw that, Slakia saw that she had conceived, her mistress was despised in her eyes. So hold on now. You mean to tell me Abraham kept the law, the statutes, and the commandments, and he had Sarah as one wife, and he had a concubine, which is a lesser wife, on the other hand? So Abraham had more than one wife. Where's the account of the Most High coming to Abraham and said, Abraham, what have you done? Right? You got it, King.
Con. And that's a good point. And two, Moses had more than one wife, man. Now, when you go to these accounts, let's go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse number 1. Right? Because Moses, you read about Moses' wife in Exodus, the 2nd chapter, and you read about him having another wife in Numbers, the 12th chapter. It's the book of Numbers, chapter 12 and verse 1. And Miriam and Aaron spake against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman whom he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. I want to hold that, and I want to go to Exodus chapter 2, right? And I'm going to start at verse number 18, right? It says this. Matter of fact, I'm going to start at 16. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water and filled the draughts of water of their father's flock. Now jumping down to verse 20, it says, and he said unto his daughters, and where is he? Why is he that ye have left the man? Call him that he may eat bread. And Moses was content to dwell with the man, and he gave Moses Zipporah, his daughter. So you see that Moses had Zipporah and he had this Ethiopian woman. But see how the Most High get down when Aaron, you understand, and Miriam speak against Moses. Right, reading all the way down. Verse 2. And they said, have the Lord indeed spoken only by Moses? Have he not spoken by us? And the Lord heard it. Jumping down to verse 7. My servant Moses is not so, who is faithful in all mine house. So the Most High said that Moses was faithful in all his house. Meaning Moses wasn't going off, man. Where's the account where Moses just was committing all this iniquity and sin and just transgressing and going the hell off, man? So because Moses was faithful in the eyes of the Most High, and Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses, what did the Lord do? It says, and the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed. And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became lepers, white as snow, man. So you can't come against Moses. If her coming against Moses was applicable for the scriptures and applicable in the eyes of the Lord would have never charged her with sin. He would have never made us leopard as snow. He would have never judged her and put her without the camp, man. He wouldn't have had judgment to happen and come upon her if he was chargeable with something. But Moses wasn't. And Moses had multiple wives. So we can't just insert our emotions in this thing. Now, a lot of people may say, well, you may not see that in the New Testament, and this is the Old Testament. You do see that in the New Testament. That's just your lack of understanding or your lack of reading, and that's okay, because before you form a conclusion and make it a fact in your mind, you have to withdraw yourself and hear the whole conclusion of the matter and understand the scriptures as it is written. The Lord speak about multiple wives in prophecy. The Lord speak about multiple wives on a physical level, setting up the church. And Most High willing, we're going to get all of this. And the Most High sets up throughout our whole nation with Jacob with multiple wives. Hey, everything's built off of this through the spirit. Even in the so-called animal kingdom, right? You may have multiple lions that have multiple females that are under them, that they lead in a pack. So all of this is written for our learning sake. You got it.
Yeah, that's right, man. And I want to get Deuteronomy chapter 21 and 15. Right? I mean, this is plain, right? Deuteronomy 21 and 15. If a man have 2 wives, one beloved and another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be hers that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his sons to inherit that which he hath, that he may not make the son of the beloved firstborn before the son of the hated, which is indeed the firstborn. So why is the law straight up kicking off and saying, if a man have two wives? Right? What does that mean if a man have two wives? The Most High never said a man can't have more than one wife. He's even giving you a wisdom about how to deal with the birthright if you got emotional and fell out with one of your wives, man. The Most High said if a man have two wives, what? So I mean that the Lord said again, think not that I come to destroy the law. Right? The Most High said in Baruch 4:1, this is the book of the commandments of God and the law that endureth forever. Right? All they that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. Right? That's plain right there. So that law is telling you if you have two wives and you hate one and you love the other, but the one that you hate was your gave your firstborn son, you got to still deal with him, man. You can't get emotional and say your Jake do that, man. Right? You don't deal with your kids because of your so-called baby mother, man. You know, you don't deal with these. Jake, you got a baby mother down on L Street. You got a baby mother on damn 63rd, man. And you only deal with the one on 63rd. And you bringing them damn cookies and McDonald's, man. That's what Jake do in the world, right? Bringing them damn McDonald's and cookies, man. But then the one on L Street, you're not really dealing with, man. You're not dealing with those children due to their so-called baby mother, man. Jake, you do that in the world. The Most High knows you, man. So you're commanded to deal with that woman's son, regardless of how y'all fell out, man. You know? I got one more real quick. This Exodus 21, right? Exodus the 21st chapter, right? This is plain. If a man take him another wife, let me read that again. Or if he, let me read it right. If he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall he not diminish. Right now, the Most High said, if you take another wife, you still got to deal with those wives. You got to provide for them. You can't be a nigga. Let's make that clear. If you take in a wife, another wife has to be done in wisdom. Right? It should be, you should ask yourself, is this expedient? Right? Is this profitable? Am I living with my great grandmother in her basement? And now I want to take another wife. You have zero money to your name. You don't know how to catch the bus. Right? You got one sock. You can't find your other sock half the time. And your damn shirt is on backwards, man. Brother, should you get another wife? Well, you gotta get your mind right first, man. You can't be emotional in your lust and just taking on wives, man. Right? Now you're on 64th, man. Jake be doing that. I got 5 baby mamas. Oh God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This one got me on child support, and this one they gonna take the baby, and this one you got damn baby mamas all in your phone, man. You know? So the point of the matter is, if you take another wife, it has to be done in wisdom. Her food can't be diminished. You can't take her plate and scrape it and give it to the new one. Here you go, baby. Right? And she said, oh, what am I going to eat? Shut up. And you just scrape all her plate on another one. She said, ooh, he loved me. Right? Oh, man, her clothing, her raiment. You can't take all her dresses off the damn rack. No. Then you take them all off, put them in a big black bag, tie it up, and send it to your next woman, man. And now your first woman got one bra and one dress. And then the Lord said her duty of marriage. Now, you look that word duty of marriage up. I'm going to pull that up in the Hebrew. All right? And then you got it, King. Let me pull that up so we can actually understand what that means. Right? That's why it's important to go into the Hebrew. Right? It's important to go into the Hebrew, etymology, the Greek, and sometimes even the Latin, man. Now, this is the word duty of marriage, or duty, in Exodus chapter 21 and 10. Right? Now, I believe that's Aina. It means cohabitation conjugal rights. What are conjugal rights? If you're in prison and they have conjugal visits, that means, hey, they'll bring your woman in there, and you could deal with your woman, man. Those are called conjugal visits. So conjugal, so like, let me read that again. Conjugal rights, meaning you still got to lay down with this woman, man. You still, because in the ancient world, she want to bear a son. That's all she ever wanted to do, bear a child. And if you take that away from a woman, that's like killing a woman in the ancient world, man. They was vexed to death. So you can't take another wife and then you stop dealing with that woman, man. You know, like David did that to Michal. Not that she went, not that he did it out of wickedness. She went off, man, and that was her punishment. So if you take another wife, guess what? You still got to deal with that woman, man. You can't, because one more point, a lot of brothers take another wife because now you fell out with your first one, you disinterested, you don't find her attractive anymore, and you still got to deal with her, man. Even on an intimate level. That's the duty of marriage. You got to go into the Hebrew for that, right? It also says, let's see, sexual cohabitation, duty of marriage, to dwell together, right? And that word really is only used one time in the Old Testament. You got it, King.
Con. And I'm going to get Genesis chapter 29 and 20, right? Going into our father Jacob. It say, and Jacob served 7 years for Rachel, and they seemed unto him but as a few days, for he loved, so like it for the love that he had for it. So Jacob served for 7 years. And in the ancient world, you had to serve for your wife, man. Now all you got to do is damn like 4 pictures in a row, man. And if she like 1 picture, that do you like 4 more? Next thing you know, I don't know, maybe I should try. What do you think? Right? It wasn't like that in the ancient world, man. You had to literally work for your wife. You had to pick stuff up, dig down pits, man, axe down trees. Hey, like the brother brought up the precept, I believe it was last Monday Night Fire. You had to go to war for your woman, man. Like in Judges, the 1st chapter. So this thing is serious. They got to see if you could take care of the wife financially, physically, emotionally. Hey, what did Saul want David to do, man? Kill the heathen. Right? He set him up for failure, but nevertheless, he didn't know that the Lord was with him like that. But he wanted to see if this man was strong and he could go to war to take what? His wife, man. So like his daughter, man. So you have to see the ancient mindset of our forefathers that you had to physically work for these things. It says, verse 21, and Jacob said unto Laban, give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled. And so like that I may go into her. Meaning, look, I work for it. This is the dowry. I'm about to go into her. Give me my wife. And Laban gathered all the men of the place and made a feast. And it came to pass in the evening that he took Leah, his daughter. And he knew what he was going to do when he gathered that feast together. Right? He didn't trip and fall and grab the wrong one, man. He knew what he was going to do, man. Laban was acting like a nigger, man. He got the feast together, like, okay, all praise to the Most High. But then he took Leah. It says, and Laban gave unto his daughter Leah, Zilpah, his maid for an handmaid. And it came to pass in the morning, behold, it was Leah. And he said unto Laban, what is this thou hast done unto me? I mean, what did you do? I didn't work for her. Did not I serve thee for Rachel? Wherefore then hast thou beguiled me? Then Laban, and Laban said, it must not be so done in our country to give the younger before the firstborn. And that's your response, man.
Right.
It's off.
Yeah.
Not, oh yeah, you caught me red-handed. My bad. I pulled one over on you. No, he just boldly said it, man. Yeah, but God with you. It's not right that we should give this one first before that, right? It says, fulfill her week, and we will give thee this also for the service which thou hast served me with 7 other years. And Jacob did so and fulfilled her week, and he gave him Rachel, his daughter, to wife also. So you see in the scriptures how Jacob, like the brother just quoted the prayer of Manasseh, he was righteous, man. Jacob was perfect, just like Isaac, you understand, and Abraham. And these men, there was no offense charged to them. And they had multiple wives. The whole nation is built off multiple wives. Now, with that being said, I want to get this precept and link it up. Because the Lord said in Sirach, it's the book of Sirach, chapter 23, and verse number 22. I'm going to start at 23 and 23. It says, first, she had disobeyed the law of the Most High. Secondly, she hath trespassed against her own husband. And thirdly, she hath played the whore in adultery and brought forth children by another man. She shall be brought out into the congregation, and inquisition shall be made of her children. Her children shall not take root, and her branches shall bring no fruit. So in the ancient world, adultery wasn't a man having multiple wives. It was when a woman stepped out on her husband. You have to gain that understanding what adultery is. Right now, with this westernized mindset, your understanding of adultery is mixed up with Esau's philosophies and laws. But you have to go through the precepts. What is adultery biblically? How can you commit adultery? What is adultery? And how can it be committed? Is this adultery? Because just because you take another wife does not mean that you commit adultery, man. If you put that woman away and you throw her in damn Minnesota somewhere, man, she's trying to figure out, how does she get home? She's looking at the bus chart and you spent her around 3 times and shut the door and drove off. Then, brother, that's off. You have to take care of your wives. Nevertheless, in the ancient world, this was wicked for a woman to depart, but not for a man to get another wife, man. You got it.
Con. Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. Now, I'm gonna get this quick precept, right? This 2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 13. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he had come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. See that? Now, the Lord said there was no, the Lord only charged David essentially with the matter of Uriah the Hittite, man. Right, there's a precept in Kings I'm gonna get. The Most High said, save the matter of Uriah the Hittite. Right, let's get that real quick. Right, this is 1 Kings chapter 15 and 5. 1 Kings 15 and 5. Because David did that which was right in the eyes of the Lord, and turned not aside from anything that he commanded him all the days of his life, save only in the matter of Uriah the Hittite. So after the death of David, the Most High is bringing back up his account, and the Most High, he charged him. See, David received a lot of mercy. Certain things, the numbering of Israel, the not really dealing with his sons, the Most High punished him, and his charge was save only the matter of Uriah the Hittite, not the matter of getting more wives and concubines. Right? That's not the, now if he was to take these women and they were married or betrothed to another man, then yeah, that would be adultery. That would be a sin. Having sex with another man's wife, rather that woman is betrothed, which is your modern day promised or your modern day fiance, or rather that woman actually laid down with another man. And nevertheless, these concubines and men, I mean, it's like these concubines and women that David took, that was righteous for the men of the Lord. Now the law, there are certain stipulations too. And Deuteronomy 17, a king can't multiply wives to himself. See, certain men have certain laws or certain offices. They have certain restrictions and limitations given to them through the wisdom of the Most High. Like you have, let me get that in Deuteronomy 17. Let me get that real quick about a king. Right? Deuteronomy 17. I'm gonna get straight to the point. And verse 17. Neither shall, now this dealing with a king, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Now that's only for the king. Because a normal man, he can have a whole bunch of silver and gold. That's for the king. A normal man, he can multiply a lot of wives, man. But the king, he can't really do it. He can't get 1,000 wives and 2,000 wives and 4,000. Why? Because he has a job. He has to focus, man. He has to sit in a seat of judgment. Now, if you dealing with all of these women, right? Maybe 2,500 women, 500 women, your mind ain't gonna be there, man. Imagine dealing with one for brothers that's not married, 4, 7, and then you got to deal with them all, man, pursuant to the righteousness of the law. So a king can't multiply wives to himself. Now you may say, well, aren't we kings and priests? Well, we are kings and priests, but this is specifically dealing with the king that would sit on the throne due to his responsibilities. Right? But you got it, King.
Khan. And it's the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 6 and verse 3. It says, if a man beget 100 children, and that's impossible to have. How is it one woman going to have 100 children, man? Doesn't it take 9 months? Right? When you read the book of Wisdom of Solomon, you understand the 7th chapter, and you go into these things. Now, having 100 children, you have to have multiple wives to bring forth that many children on the earth. You know, Sarah's womb was shut up through her old age, and the Most High had to open it up. So even your internal clock, as your womb is concerned as a woman, is shut at a certain degree. You don't have 80 and 90-year-old women today bringing forth children on the earth because the Most High shut their womb after a certain time. Now it says, if a man begat 100 children. So roughly probably from the age, 20 as a woman, maybe 19, 20, 21 on out, they'll be conceiving until maybe the Lord shut the womb, maybe around 40, 43 at the most. So you can't be bringing forth 100 children if it takes 9 months to bring forth a child upon the earth. So you would have had to have multiple children. The Lord wouldn't have said this if a man begat 100 children and live many years, so that the days of his years be many, and his soul be not filled with good, and also that he have no burial. I say that it is an untimely birth is better than he. So the Lord is letting you know all throughout the scriptures that a man has multiple wives, or it's okay for a man to have multiple wives. With that being said, let me get this quick precept in Song of Solomon, right? The first chapter. And Song of Solomon is literally about the Lord, you understand, and the elect, right? It's the book of Song of Solomon, chapter 1 and verse number 2. It says, let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, for thy love is better than wine, right? Talking about the elect in Yahushua. Because of the Savior of thy good ointments, thy name is as an ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love thee. Well, why is it saying, therefore do the virgins love thee? Do the virgins only love Yahushua in the Old Testament, but it can't be more than one virgin in the New Testament? That would be madness. That doesn't make any sense. The Lord did not come, right, to just cause confusion with the Old Testament and the New Testament. It says, draw me, we will run after thee. We will run after thee. The king hath brought me into his chambers. We will be glad and rejoice in thee. We will remember thy love more than wine. The upright love thee. So what is it talking about, all of these virgins? So why is the Lord likened in Song of Solomon to virgins marrying one king, man? Because the Lord has multiple wives. Read about that in Matthew, the 25th chapter. So he's telling you over and over that the virgins are going to love Yahushua. The virgins are the 144,000. So if you're undespotted from this world, not cleaving to these idolatrous feasts and witchcraft and being caught up with Babylon and all their customs, you will be repented and washed clean from your sins, chasing and running after the Lord, man. Chasing that perfume, chasing that ointment, man, of frankincense, myrrh, the laws, the statutes, the commandments, the prophecy. And you'll be chasing that until the Lord bids you to the marriage. Nowadays, what you got? You got men chasing women around. I mean, just hawking them down, just running, hopping over this, doing that, right? Doing damn chopping down tree contests, sweating, trying to get all the attention. In the ancient world, man, the Lord said in the last days, man is going to be more precious than fine gold. This world has taught you that the woman, not to say that the woman isn't a prize, because she's most definitely a gift given to a righteous man, but nevertheless, it's more profitable to have a man leading than a woman, man. A woman can't lead. A woman can't bring home everything there is that needs to be brought, because the man leads. The man directly has a relationship with Yahushua. Yahushua has a direct relationship with the Most High. There's a chain of command and a spirit to be able to be led. That's why if a man doesn't hold himself diligent, his house shall soon be overthrown. Not if the woman doesn't hold herself diligent. Now the man is overthrown. Everything is a spirit and everything is a chain of command. That's why the Lord said, draw me, we will run after thee. And everybody in the last days that's joined into the Most High and His Son are chasing these prophecies in the end of time. That's why we know poetically it being written this way. How could this be off, man? The Lord never liked the kingdom of heaven or his relationship with us and him to pigs or idolatrous feasts or anything wickedness. So we know that through the parables and the way that it's written is written upright. You got it.
Yeah, and that's true, man. I want to put this up on the screen, right? Now, when we're dealing with monogamy, right? Now, monogamy, mono meaning one, right? Now, I want to pull this up. Let me see if I can find this. Right, bear with me. Now, here's a quick article on monogamy. I'm not going to read the whole article, but I am going to touch on one point to add to what the brother was saying. Right? Let me see if this is populating. Now, this is dealing with what the world calls monogamy. Right? Now, check this out. Now, just about every so they go into monogamy in ancient Israel. Right? They got certain men have one wife. It's really up to the man to determine that. Right? You had ancient Egypt, ancient Mesopotamia, Assyria. But now this is ancient Greece and Rome. Now check this out. It says the ancient Greeks and Romans were monogamous. Right? Now the Israelites were not a monogamous kingdom. Now you have certain men that had one wife. Right? Isaac had one wife. You know, Adam had one wife. Right? There are certain men that had one wife. You know, it is what it is, man. Manoah, right? The father of Samson. And certain men had more than one wife. But the ancient Greeks and Romans, they weren't into it at all. They completely opposed more than one wife. Now, who are the Greeks and the Romans? The so-called white men. Now, why would the so-called white man only want one wife? Right? Do we have to paint the picture? What is the nature of Esau? Why would Esau say a man can only have one wife when the scriptures clearly say otherwise? The ancient Greeks and the Romans said, look, hey, y'all men, y'all can only have one wife. That's off. Right? Because the so-called white man's a natural sodomite. We're just going to call it what it is. He's a natural born sodomite. So he doesn't want men of his nation dealing with all of these women unless it's to procreate. That's the only time Esau really deal with his woman, man. Esau only deal with his woman when it's time to procreate, man. These Edomites in their mind, they deal with little boys. The ancient Greeks dealt with little boys. Pedestry. That was the dominant sexual orientation at the time. Same thing with the ancient Romans. So Esau want men to himself. He don't want all of these men spending time with all of these women, man. All right, so if you want to know how monogamy, or the only nation essentially to advocate it on such a high level, who did it, or the so-called white man, right? The ancient Greeks and Romans were monogamous in the sense that men were not allowed to have more than one wife or to cohabit with concubines during marriage. So Abraham, they would have jammed up Abraham, huh? David, Jacob, a lot of our men, man, they would have jammed them up. It was unlawful to have more than one wife according to the so-called white man. Okay, let's see. They got early Christianity. We're going to deal with Matthew, the 19th chapter. Let's see. Contemporary societies. Western European societies established monogamy as their marital norm. Who's Western European societies? Spain, France, England, the Dutch, the Germans, the Italians, right? The people of Belgium, the people of Denmark, Sweden. They're the first people to make it the norm. Before that, it was common. It was plain. Everybody knew that. Every ancient Eastern society, they pretty much operated like that. It was the norm. Wasn't weird. It wasn't strange. It wasn't taboo. It wasn't frowned upon. It was normal. As normal as it is to walk outside and see the sun. But Western European societies established monogamy as their marital norm. So now it's normal for a man to have one wife. That's normal now, right? In this society. So, hold on now. So now we have, hold on now. Let me make one more point, King. If we're telling our people to come out of the world and we're teaching repentance and forsaking the ways of America, is that just talking about pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster? Or just head wraps and dresses on? This is a spiritual separation from this society, man. All in philosophies and doctrines that this kingdom taught. You have to separate from it, man. Like Ariah was going to earlier, you can't pick and choose what you want to do, man, to fulfill your belly. I'm going to read that one more time. Western European societies establish monogamy as their marital norm. Monogamous marriage is normative and is legally enforced in most developed countries. What does most developed mean? Meaning that's the so-called white man's kingdoms. That's what he calls most developed, being a homosexual and having skyscrapers, right? Laws prohibiting polygyny were adopted in Japan, China, India, and Nepal. So that means that wine of America spread throughout the earth. Now the Ammonite man is into it. Now the Moabite man in 1953, now he's getting into this thing. Now the Elamite man, he's getting into it, right? I got one quick precept, Salaki King. Right? I'm going to just read this real quick. Revelation chapter 18 and 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, man. Right? So this thing is getting crazy, man. Polyandry, now that's a woman having multiple husbands, is illegal in most countries. Here's the last point. The women's rights movement seeks to make monogamy the only legal form of marriage. So really it started with the sodomite so-called white man, and then the so-called white woman started pushing it, man. Then Eve hopped on the train. Then effeminate men hopped on the train. So this is the women's rights movement, man. They start pushing it heavy. The United Nations, right, Psalms 83, and 1979 adopted the Convention of the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against women. So according to the so-called white man, having more than one wife, now you're discriminating women. Article 16, you can look this stuff up, of which requires nations, look at this stuff, to give women and men equal rights in marriage, right? Polygamy is viewed as inconsistent with the article as it gives men the right to multiple wives, but not to women. The United Nations has established a committee of the elimination of discrimination against women to monitor the nations or the progress of the nations implementing the convention. So the so-called white man's checking up on the other nations, making sure they're moving in the same spirit as he, man. You got it, King.
And really they're doing that because they don't want us to grow as a nation of people, man.
Right,
they want to keep us as small as possible. So are they coming up with all these abortion clinics, coming up with all of these liquor stores on every single corner, man, dropping off guns in Chicago, DC, Baltimore, New York, Philly, right, leaving them in the streets for us to kill one another. That's why they're creating all these laws, right, to lock us up so that the men can't get home, unjust dealings, giving somebody a so-called trial where they're having 20 to 50 years in prison, man, for stealing a candy bar in a gas station. So they're taking away the men of our nation, trying to make sure that we don't continue to grow as a people. That's the same spirit of Egypt. It's the book of Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8. It say, now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. This is a council. They're holding a council just like the United States holds councils. Just like Babylon held councils, man. In Judith, the 2nd chapter. Multiple nations, they hold councils how to keep us down as a people. And that's not just talking about the murder of our minds with TV and music and media. If you want to stop a people from growing, you have to stop the root, which is the seed. You can't just stop it cutting off all of the damn buds, man. You have to kill it from the root. How do you kill it from the root? You would do what? You have to kill that man. That's why in the law, the Lord would tell you to kill all the men and take the women for yourselves. Those that are virgins, man. Because we don't want any men around so that their seed can continue. We would chop them down for the whole land. The same way they use that same terminology in ancient war tactics on us. They would kill us all out and take our women. It says, and he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass that when there fall out any war, they join also into our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Therefore, they did set over them taskmasters. So when you really look at it, it's not that we were wicked when we went into slavery in Egypt. It's because we were populating and growing. We had multiple wives. We continue to grow as a nation of people, and they want to chop that down. And if each man or every other man or a large portion of our men in our nation had multiple wives, that would be more children and more mighty men and more counselors and more prophets. You understand? And more men that were warriors that would continue to sprout up from our loins that will fulfill the face of the earth. And they knew that, right? This is 1 Timothy chapter 3. Now, from the Old Testament, you also got in the New Testament, the Lord talks about multiple wives. But you have to know the spirit of what it is you're reading. You can't go to Proverbs and just want all the in-depth prophecies and breakdowns. You can't go to 1 Timothy and want to read about the seals. You have to understand the spirit, the audience, and the author and the prophet of what we're reading. So a lot of people, they say, well, the New Testament says, what's going on in the New Testament? You have to break it down as it is written and who the audience is to. You have Paul, the leading in of the Gentiles, Hamashiach Wamalak Yahushua dying for our sins. You understand? Setting up churches. It's a lot of things that's really not that much discussed and talked about in the New Testament, but it's the spirit of the Old Testament. It's the same exact thing. Now, when you go to 1 Timothy chapter 3, it says, this is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desire for good work. A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife. Why is Paul saying this? What would be the point of him saying that he has to have one wife if that wasn't the normal?
Right.
As if the Lord died, and as soon as the Lord died, he just couldn't have multiple wives. No, that's called the doctrine, man. And people are eating up doctrines in the last days. The Lord said, evil men and seducers so wax worse than worse, deceiving and being deceived. So a lot of people, you're being deceived because you're evil. You're easily led astray by doctrines and philosophies, man. But the ones that have understanding that are rooted in the scriptures, from the old to the new, from everything written, are not going to be beguiled. It says, one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. So the Lord is giving you qualities of a bishop, that a man that has the lead. Now, why would the Lord say that? Because you have literally men that could take on more than one wife, like the brother was going into earlier, as a king, and he wouldn't be able to rule, you understand, the church, because he would have a lot going on. He would have too much going on. You understand? You can't put, your wife up and then, my wife's out of order, or my wife, she's crying, and my other wife, she's unclean, and my other wife, she's about to have a baby, and it's too much going on, man. All hell be breaking loose. And you have to go teach or go direct or go set up the church in 4 hours, man. So the Lord knew the spirit of how important you have to take this office so that you could not have more than one wife. And that applies to the deacons too, but you got it.
No, that's right. And I was going to add to this because I'm going to read this. This is Romans chapter 12 and 4. It reads, for as we have many members in one body, and all members have not the same office. So everybody doesn't have the office of a bishop. Certain men did, man. You had certain men that was in the high levels, right? You had Timothy was on a high level, Titus was in a high level, the Apostle Paul was on a high level, and then you had men that was coming into this thing, and they may have been helps, right? They may have given alms, they may have been they may have been a teacher or things of that nature. So everybody didn't have the same office. Now, does that mean that in 1 Timothy 3:1, does that befall every brother? No, that befalls the men that are the heads of the churches. Now, should a man aspire to be a bishop? Yes. But is every man going to be a bishop? No. So every man has their own particular office that the Most High gave him. And that's why, like you went back into in Deuteronomy 17, that not multiplying wives and horses and silver and gold, that was relative to the king. Even the high priest, there was a particular wife that he could get that only pertained to him. That was relative to the high priest. He couldn't deal with a whore, a woman that was put away. She had to be a virgin and she had to be a Levite. Huh? Let me get that in Leviticus chapter 21. Now, does that apply to everybody? No, that applies to the high priest. All right, let me get that. This Leviticus chapter 21 and verse 13. And he shall take a wife in her virginity. Now in Deuteronomy 24, if you lay down with your wife and put her away for some uncleanness, another man could take your wife. So men could have wives that wasn't virgins in the ancient world. Was it the norm? No. But was it permissible? Yes. The high priest, he has to marry a wife that's a virgin. A widow or a divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. You see that? So he has to take a virgin and she has to be a Levite. Now, is that all? Do we all have to take Levitical virgins to be our wives? No, that's the office of the priest. 1 Timothy 3, the attribute of having one wife and a deacon, that's for the deacon and the bishops. So yes, men should be grave, sober, temperate, lovers of hospitality and good things, but you can't have an amalgamation of all of those traits and make it something that is not, and it's like, yeah, let me get one more precept, King, real quick. Actually, you got it. I won't be long.
Con, and I want to break down this in 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter.
Okay, so like before you get that, let me get this real quick.
Con, you got it.
Con, real quick. Right, because that's the spirit I was going to go there next. But let me get this first. This is Matthew 19:12. For there are some eunuchs, this is what Yahushua said, for there are some eunuchs which are so born from their mother's womb. So certain men are born and their generative functions, it don't work, right? They may have no stones, no rod. And there are some eunuchs which were made eunuchs of men. Certain men are castrated, double castrated, right? They don't have stones or a rod. And there be eunuchs which have made themselves eunuchs for the kingdom of heaven's sake. He that is able to receive it, let him receive it. Now, the Most High said a bishop must have one wife. Did Paul have a wife? No. Did Paul go off? No. Right? Did Elijah? The Lord told Jeremiah, you can't have a wife, man, straight up and down. You can't take no wives in this place in Jeremiah the 16th chapter. Did Yahushua have a wife? No. Right? There are certain men. Did John the Baptist have a wife? No, he didn't have a wife. Did not the Most High say, be fruitful and multiply? Yes, he did. Did Yahushua sin for not being fruitful and multiplying? No. Why? Because every man has their particular office and particular gift. There are certain men who make a conscious decision to say, I will refrain from sex with the woman that I may focus on the kingdom of heaven. That's in 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. Dealing with virgins and men and attending upon the Lord without distraction. So if a bishop must have one wife, but remember, Paul didn't have a wife, right? A lot of men didn't have wives. Were they wicked? No. So let's keep things in its proper context. Everybody has their own office. And everybody has their lot given to them by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. Right? But you got it, King. Want to make that point.
Calm. I'm gonna get another precept. I'm gonna let you pull 1 Corinthians 7. But I want to touch on
Now, you can
First
pull it out
Corinthians.
if you want.
No, you
want.
got it. I'm gonna bring this up. This 1 Corinthians chapter 6. Because when you read this, the spirit of Yahushua is going to cut down the doctrines. And men that are rebellious to yield into the spirit, they're going to be confounded and they're going to be found liars. You have to read it as it is written and keep everything in context. You cannot take anything out of context to fit your doctrine. You know, this is the book of 1 Corinthians 6 and 12. I want to read this first before I get the precept. It say, all things are lawful unto me, but all things are not expedient. Right? It may be lawful for you to have multiple wives, but is it expedient? You got to ask yourself that. Do I even have a job? Am I even set up to where I'm even on a spiritual level with the understanding of how to lead, man? Have I even held Purim yet? Do I even know what it's all about? Do I even know what the Feast of Dedications is going into on a spiritual level? Am I apt financially to take care of multiple wives? Yeah, just because you can do it doesn't mean that things are expedient and lawful. So like it's expedient for you to do, even though that is lawful. Now, when you jump down to verse number 15, it says, know ye not that your bodies are the members of Yahushua? Shall I then take the members of Yahushua and make them members of an harlot? God forbid. So let's break down this precept in the New Testament. The Lord said, know ye not that your bodies, meaning multiple people, are the members of Yahushua? So each one of us in a church is coming together as the body of Yahushua. Now, I want to link that up in 1 Corinthians chapter 12 and verse number 12. For as the body is one and have many members, meaning you have an arm, you have a leg, you have a neck, you have thumbs and ears, and you have a whole body with many members to it. It says, of that one body being many, are one body also is Yahushua. So why is the Lord saying that you can join many members into Yahushua, man? And we know when you're joined, you're one flesh. You're made one. So the Lord said it makes many men and many people to make up his church to be one. So you can't just say that many members, or you just have to have one member to be joined. It says, what? I know ye not that he which is joined to an harlot is one body. For two saith he shall be one flesh, but he that is joined unto the Lord is one spirit. So how are you joined to the Lord? By many members. It's deacons, right? It's bishops. You got prophets, you got apostles, and we're all coming together being married and bidden into the marriage. So you can't just say that the Lord, which is our husband, is just picking one specific person, just beaming up one person, just one Israelite, just going to get beamed up, and they're the one version of the scriptures. No, most high willing, man. Everybody watching this live in sincerity and truth that's repentant, they're going to be beamed up to salvation. And throughout the four corners of the earth, them that sigh and cry, which make up many members, which are many virgins bidden unto the marriage of the Lord. You got it.
Con. And like you said, when you keep things in its context, 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, the 6th chapter, and the 7th chapter, it's the same topic. It's the same spirit. It's the exact same conversation. Don't let chapters warp your understanding. A lot of times, some chapters are out of time. Some chapters, they may be in context. Certain chapters may run consecutively, man. Right? Chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7, they run consecutively. And before these are chapters, this is an epistle. Chapters are implemented essentially by man. You understand? When they got this in Corinth, this was an epistle, a letter. It wasn't divided up into book, chapter, and verses. So you have to, you read from the so-called 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, to the 7th chapter, it's all dealing with the exact same spirit. Right? But now we're looking at the chapter, I see 7 and 3, and it's throwing your understanding off. And you forget that this is an epistle. Right? Now I'm gonna read 1 Corinthians 7, and I'm gonna read chapter 5 and 1, then I'm gonna jump to chapter 7. 1 Corinthians 5 and 1. Here's the topic of discussion. It is commonly reported that there is fornication among you, and such fornication as is not so much as named among the Gentiles, that one should have his father's wife. So the topic of discussion is a man having his father's wife, not a man dealing necessarily with his biological mother, but a man dealing with his father's wife, right? That means this man may have had more than one wife. Otherwise, Paul would have said he's dealing with his own mother, right? He's dealing with his father's wife, like Reuben dealt with his father's wife. Same thing in the book of Genesis. So the topic is fornication right here. Now, I'm not going to read this whole chapter, but chapter 6, whatever I was going into, that's fornication too. It's going into fornication. Chapter 7 is telling you how to deal with fornication. So let's keep it in context. 1 Corinthians 7 and 1. Now concerning the things whereof ye wrote unto me, it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So it's good for a man to wholly focus on Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua, right? That's what we're going into. If you just came into this truth, and or even if you're in this thing and you don't have a wife, that's not wicked. Don't put your head down, man. It gives you a lot of time to focus on the Most High, right? We didn't get our wives when we came into the truth, and I'm essentially it's the will of the Most High, but I'm grateful, man, that I had time to study, read, get built up, take notes, have a lot of time of fasting and meditating in the Word. Because if I was just to get a wife day one, God knows what would happen, man.
And Salaki, one quick point, and that's good that you just said that. It took me years, man, and patience and sincerity for the Most High to give me a wife through the Spirit.
Come. So, and we feel what Paul is saying. He said, hey, look, it's good for a man not to touch a woman, man. Right? Because a lot of men, you get a woman, then you start giving your strength into the woman. A lot of men can't handle having a wife. Because now you're not going to camp, you're not doing the work of the Most High. You land up with your woman, watching the latest series, man. Right? I got married. Some brothers get married and you never see them anymore. It was better off that brother never got married, man. Well, the old lady said, I can't come to camp today. She told me I need life insurance. We're working on our life insurance policy. The old lady. Oh, boy, it's always that one brother who's being ruled over by his woman, man. And there was a brother, I'm not going to put his name out there, but his woman came to one of the camps and did this, right? Pulled up in the big body or whatever vehicle it was, man. And the brother's on the line at camp doing the work of the Most High. Nice, mighty camp. She comes out and does this. Right? Now, what did this brother do? Right? This brother and goes to his woman, man. I know brother seen the wood, man. Remember he had him get in the back seat? I can't remember. Stacy.
Yeah.
Stacy had young Omar Epps? That wasn't Omar Epps, but he played the young version.
Yeah. I know you're talking about.
I can't remember his name, but from Fresh, right? They had him getting he had his mans getting the back seat. It wasn't those, man. He had them getting the back seat, man. He said, get in the back seat, or basically, hey, I'm gonna put hands on you, man. So a woman proceeds to come and do this, and the man gets in the car. I don't know if he got in the back seat or not, but she peeled off, man. So sometimes it's good that a man not touch a woman because stuff like that happens, right? Now, let me read on real quick. Right, first, let me read the next verse. It reads, and like I said, we touched on opposing points. This is one of the opposing points, right? We touched on 1 Timothy 3, 1 Corinthians 7. The Spirit had to be brought up. It says, nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. And that's true, man. To avoid sleeping, what they call in the world, from woman to woman, just get your own wife, man. You don't have to deal with prostitutes that were mentioned in the previous chapter, man. This is talking about prostitution in the previous chapter, dealing with your father's wife. To avoid those different types of fornication, get your own wife. Now, that word own, I want to touch on that. Does that mean one? Does own mean one? No. When in any type of language, vernacular, Does own mean one? If I have my own car, does that mean I only have one car? I can have multiple cars, but that's my own car. If I got 3 cars in the parking lot and you go try to get into it, I say, that's my own car. That's mine. Does that mean the other 2 aren't mine? No. Right? And I want to prove that one precept, King, if you don't mind. Right? This 1 Timothy chapter 1 and 2. Right? It's just simple. It's simple English. 1 Timothy 1 and 2. Now listen to this. Unto Timothy, my own son in the faith, grace, mercy, and peace from God our Father and Yahweh Shah HaMashiach our Lord. Hold on now. It says, unto Timothy, my own son in the faith. Now, is Timothy Paul's only son in the faith? He said, unto Timothy, my own son. Does own mean one? No. Let's go to Titus 1 and 4. Right? We got to stop the madness. That means Timothy Timothy was Paul's only son in the faith. This is Titus 1 and 4. To Titus, my own son. Well, hold on now. One account, Paul said, unto Timothy, mine own son. And then another account, he said to Titus, mine own son. So if we want to apply own meaning one in 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, you can't just stop there. That's completely illogical and just absolute, just butchering your own, the so-called white man's English language, man. Right? Own has never meant one. Never. Even the Apostle Paul said, Salaki, I have many sons. I believe that's 1 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, if I'm not mistaken. Is that 4 and 15? 4 and 14?
Yep, 14. Yep.
Right, let me read that real quick. 1 Corinthians chapter 4 and 14. It reads, for though ye have 10,000 instructors in Hamashiach, yet have ye not many fathers. For in Hamashiach Yahushua, I have begotten you through the gospel. So Paul had a whole bunch of sons. The whole church of Corinth, every man was his son. Titus was his son. Timothy was his son, not literally, but in the spirit. He brought them into the truth. They were born again through the gospel that Paul gave them. So when you read 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, and it says, let every man have his own wife, that doesn't mean let every man have one wife. And one more point. Why would one wife help you with fornication more than 2 wives? That goes against the spirit. If you have 3 wives, shouldn't that help you more with your fornication than just 1 wife? But you got it right. I just want to make that point in Titus and Timothy.
Calm. That's nobody can come against that, man. You can't come against the spirit. That's plain, right? He also had Onesimus and many other men, you know what I'm saying, through the spirit in order Most High. But this the book of 1 Samuel chapter 30 and verse number 2. It says, and had taken the women captives that were therein, they slew not any, either great or small, but carried them away and went on their way. So Amalek came into the camp, spoiled it, and took the women captive. So David and his men came to the city, and behold, it was burned with fire, and their wives and their sons and their daughters were taken captives. Then David and the people that were with him lifted up their voice and wept until they had no more power to weep. And David's 2 wives were taken captives. So what is David doing distress when his wives, which are multiple wives, are taken captive? It says this: Abinadab the Jezreelite and Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite. And David was greatly distressed, for the people spake of stoning him. So David, he got his back against the wall. His wives are taken captive. He's stressed out. The camp is burnt. People thinking about stoning him. All their goods were spoiled. It says, because the soul of all the people was grieved, every man for his son and for his daughters. But David encouraged himself in the Lord his God. And David said unto Abiathar, the priest, Amalek's son. It says, Abimelech's son, I pray thee, bring me hither the ephod. And Abiathar brought thither the ephod to David. And David inquired at the Lord, saying, shall I pursue this troop? So if David had guile in him, I mean, if you're going back to take back some pork, or take back some
Right.
whoredom or something wicked, why would the Most High tell David to have a prosperous journey and to take back all that was taken? Because David inquired at the mouth of the Most High. You understand, through the ephod, right, and the priest. It says, and he answered him, pursue, for thou shalt surely overtake them, and without fail recover all. So what does it mean, recover all? Recover all your wives. Meaning the Most High was with David, having multiple wives to get his wives back, man. If the Most High wasn't with that, this wouldn't have never happened. And David was a righteous man. A lot of people say, well, multiple wives, they were just for people that were all for. No, Elkanah was righteous in 1 Samuel. You understand the first chapter. He had 2 wives. And out of his loins came Samuel, the prophet, the righteous, on fire. So, I mean, we have to understand that men that had multiple wives, Jacob was righteous, Abraham was righteous, David was righteous. You understand? Elkanah was righteous. There were many righteous men that had multiple wives, and the Most High was with them. Now, with that being said, you got to be able to handle multiple wives. You can't be, you got to know the law. Got to know how to cleanliness. You know, got to clean yourself. You got to know about the seed of copulation, washing yourself, the sun going down, the flower. I mean, that's a blessing to have multiple wives. And the Most High is going to give that to a man for a blessing. That's a wicked man. Now, you may take multiple wives into yourself presumptuously out of lust, but the Lord is going to overthrow you, man. Going to overthrow your household. All hell may break loose, man. Your woman, she's out doing God knows what, and you're sitting up there playing the fool. So you never know through the spirit what you're getting yourself into if you don't know these scriptures. Because the Most High will be with you to recover all if you're keeping these law, statutes, and commandments. So, I mean, through the Old Testament to the New Testament, you have to see that multiple wives are present. Now, with that being said, it's up to your discretion. Now, there's no law to say you can't have 10 damn kids, man. You can have as many kids as you want, but is it profitable to have 10 kids? Can you afford it? You can't say, well, Adam didn't have multiple wives. What is that? What's the doctrine? So what? That may not be that man's discretion, his judgment to have multiple wives.
Right.
Certain men may have them, certain men may not have them. That's like saying, you come in my house and I got the walls painted white, man. But then you go to my sister's house, her walls are painted gray. That's up to your discretion. It's not against the law to have white walls, man, or green walls. You have to go into this thing and understand it as it is written and how it's applicable for each one of these men in their households. What you got?
And I was gonna make that point. I've heard that too. They say, well, the original marriage was just one man and his woman, right? Adam and his wife. Well, that's just Adam, right? That's just Adam. That doesn't mean that having more than one wife is wicked, right? So what? Adam and his wife, that it was one, right? Where in the account did the Most High say this is the pattern for all man? And if any man violates the pattern that I gave unto Adam, so shall ye be cast out into outer darkness. Otherwise, Yahweh Shai wouldn't have said, and we paraphrase it, but I'm going to read it in Matthew 25. Right? This ain't Matthew 25 and 1. It reads, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. Yahweh Shai said, I'm the bridegroom, the kingdom of heaven, the most holy, sanctified, immortal, everlasting concept, people, place. It's compared to one man having 10 wives. Think about that. Think about the kingdom of heaven, the joy, the mirth, the dominion, the rulership, the heathen being subdued, immortality, peace. The Most High said, I'm going to compare all of that. And the Lord could have compared it to a lot of things. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened to a turtle. And the Most High could have broken it down with a damn turtle. I mean, hell, the Most High used the fish and nets. He used wheat. He used tares. The Most High said the kingdom of heaven is likened unto 10 women being married to one man and finding that man, you know, for the marriage. That's plain right there, right? So you did have men, and like where I was going into, you want to do things all in wisdom. Proverbs chapter 4:7, right? Wisdom is the principal thing. Therefore, get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding. So if you are not set up in the spirit or even on a carnal level to deal with one wife, then guess what, man? It's not wise. Right? And I guess brothers are going back and forth on the comment board. I guess a brother said only kings had multiple wives and no other man did. Right? Or only kings should have multiple wives. I kind of see that. I'm trying to keep up with it, but I'm trying to bring the precept out. But I mean, you have more than one man. You have men that have multiple wives. Who's that? Hannah's husband.
Right, Elkanah. Yep.
Elkanah had 2 wives, man. Gideon had many sons. And Judges, let me get that real quick. And Judges the 8th chapter. Right? So you don't have to just be a king. Right? Judges chapter 8 and 30. Lucky it reads, and Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. So he had 70 sons, man, because he had many wives. And in the days of Judges, there was no king in Israel. You know,
and just to get it, because we quoted it, this 1 Samuel chapter 1 and 2, and he had 2 wives. The name of the one Hannah, and the name of the other Peninnah, and Peninnah had no children, but Hannah, Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. And this man went up out of his city yearly to worship and to sacrifice unto the Lord of hosts in Shiloh. So this man was righteous. He went up before the Most High to worship and give sacrifices. So Elkanah wasn't just hanging around somewhere, man. Nowhere to be found. He was a righteous man with 2 wives, right? And he cared for them. And he prayed to the Most High. He gave sacrifices and he worshiped. And he took care of his child. So this will be a model example, you know, of how a father should be, especially having a son and having 2 wives.
Con. And this one more real quick. 2 Chronicles chapter 24 and 3. And Jehoiada took for him 2 wives, and he begat sons and daughters. Now Jehoiada, he was righteous, man. He rose up the young king Joash and set up the government of Israel, man. They actually buried this man, when you read this, with the sepulture of kings. If I'm not mistaken, he's the only man who's not a Judite to be married in the same sepulture with all of the kings of Judah. That's how on fire and diligent this man was. And he was able to handle 2 wives because he was getting everything in order, man. He was raising up Joash, telling him to rebuild this and rebuild that and get the Levites in order and kill this wicked woman Athaliah. So, you know, some men can handle more than one wife, man, and still do the work of the Most High. Some men can't. The best wisdom through Yahweh Shemel given to man is, you know, men in high positions, right? Men that are led of bishops, deacons, you're over a camp, congregation. Hey, guess what, brother? You should have 1 wife. Or not should, have 1 wife, man. Because otherwise, you might end up going off, man. You know? Now, if you get another wife and you're a bishop and it gets overthrown, well, brother, that's on you, brother. You know? That's on you. I keep looking for a wife. Well, brother, you're a bishop. That's why. Oh, I don't know where my other wife is, and I'm trying and it's not working out. And well, brother, you got to be cognizant, brother, of the spirit, man, and see how the Most High is having things work out. Even in one more point, even in the kingdom, we're going to ravish these heathen, man. Just being straight up and down with it. The Most High said in Zechariah the 14th chapter, We're going to rifle their houses. Right? Let me get that real quick. So, and that's going to be in a perfect body. Zechariah chapter 14. Like I said, we can't be emotional. Zechariah 14 and 2. For I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished, and half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. It's going to be robbing these heathen. That's Ezekiel the 39th chapter. We're going to be robbing them, huh? It doesn't sound like your grandmother's Jesus. Tell your grandmother Jesus said we're going to rob people. Oh, baby, you got the devil on you. Right? You got the devil on you.
Get the hell out of my house.
Yeah, get out, get out. Not today, Satan. I'm going to say not today. But in the blood of Jesus, I rebuke that. I rebuke that, man. Hey, the Lord said we're going to rob these heathen, man. We're going to rifle their houses. You know what the word rifle means? Brother seen Training Day. Remember they Denzel and the dude, they went into that woman's house and they flipped over the damn mattress and the damn flipped over the couch. That's a rifle. Yep. She's like, he gave her the damn balled up paper for the warrant. Hey, guess what, man? Rifle, you just flip over stuff and take whatever you want. And you're going to ravish their wives, man. Pursuing the Deuteronomy 21st chapter. Right? But you got it, King.
Con. And I was a spirit, I was just about to get that. Hey, I'm about to get Numbers chapter 31. And the Most High is telling you how to deal with multiple women in the law, man. On multiple accounts. Multiple accounts. Right? It's the book of Numbers chapter 31 and verse 15. It says, and Moses said unto them, have ye saved all the women alive? Why would Moses care, man? What's the big deal? It says, have thou saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespass against the Lord in the matter of Peor, and there was a plague among the congregation of the Lord. Now, therefore, kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known man by lying with them. So in the ancient world, when you would go to war or you would ravish another camp, you would kill all of the men, man. Every man that's in that camp, so they don't rise up again, man. The same spirit, like I was going into earlier, how Pharaoh and the Egyptians, they wanted to do the same to us. So we don't rise up and overtake them. So we kill all of the men, and then we kill all the women that have laid down with another man. So we take all of the virgins unto ourselves. Where is this written? In the law, man. Where did Moses get the law? Where did he get the blueprint? From Yahushua, man. Straight up. From the Mosai to Yahushua through the thousands of angels on Mount Sinai. And he gave it directly to Moses. Moses gave it directly to the nation. It says, now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known man by lying with them. But all the women children that have not known a man by lying with them, keep alive for yourself. And do ye abide without the camp 7 days. Whosoever have killed any person, and whosoever have touched any slain, purify both yourselves and your captives on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. And purify all your raiment and all that is made of skin, and all your works of goat's hair, and all things made of wood. So the Lord is telling you straight up on tables that you could take, many women, you understand, after war, and keep them for yourself. He didn't say just one, many women. So you have to understand that this is an ancient mindset. It's not the mindset of Babylon. Nobody's breaking down to adapt to the society, man. We're coming back to our customs, our laws, and our commandments in the last days. And the Most High wouldn't write this in here if it was wicked. If we travel back 4,000 years ago, you had the mindset you had, they would think you were a stranger. They wouldn't know what to do with you. They may want to stone you or take you without or banish you because you're so off, man. You're speaking against the Most High. You're not speaking against man. You're actually coming against the Lord. When you go to Deuteronomy chapter 12, let me get this quick precept. Deuteronomy 12 and verse 32. It says, what thing soever I command you, observe to do it. That's plain. The Lord said, whatever I told you to do, you better do it, man. And what did the Lord tell you to do in the law? that if you find up to your discretion a woman, it's laws and ordinances how to deal with it. It says, thou shalt not add thereto, nor diminish from it. Meaning you can't stop and do your own pleasure, nor can you add unto whatever is written because it's already perfect.
Con. And these things happen all the time, man. Isaiah 4:1, right? 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Right? That's the Most High said that's a reproach for a woman, not to have a man. Right? And for a woman, you got to remember too, and I was going to pull this up, right? This was the same article we went into earlier, but this is a quick point. Right now, this is that same article dealing with monogamy, right? Now, I was kind of skimming down, but I read this, right? Now, before they got real drunk off the wine of Babylon, check out what how China dealt with it. The founders of communism determined that monogamous marriage inherently oppressed women and therefore had no place in communist society. Frederick Engels stated that compulsory monogamy could only lead to prostitution and general immorality. Isn't general immorality happening now? Right? Because a woman, she refuses to be with a man. This is, like I said, Jake, you have baby mothers, man. You have 4 baby mothers. I ain't done. You talking to her? Right? So now she doesn't want to talk to you because you already have a woman. Right? And now she laid down with a man and that man don't work. Then she laid down with another man. Then she's pregnant by a third man. It's a lot of madness going on, man. The Lord said, even the nation, they said that leads to prostitution and Salakia. What is the word they used? And general immorality, right? General immorality. And you can see that evident. Look at Eve and Jake now. Look what's going on with the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man. And look what's going on with the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American women, man. It's nothing but immorality, man. And madness going on. Jake hiding, oh, I'm cheating, right? Oh, he cheating on me. He talking to this woman, right? Now, in the ancient world, let me put this question out there. Like I said, we're not going to be emotional tonight, right? Neither will we be any other night. Neither have we been in time past. Now, did David have to, let's say in the book of Numbers, the 31st chapter, did those men have to go ask their wives? They said, oh, look, I found this beautiful woman. Can I please bring her home? All right? Was that going on? They took this woman captive, and it is what it is, man. And when he bring her home, everybody got to deal with it. There was no sneaking around, man. He didn't sneak this woman in the house. Shh, bring her back. Shh, I don't want this woman to know that you're here. That's this society now, right? Now things have to be done in wisdom. Let's put that out there first and foremost. Brothers have to be honest, sincere, wise in their doings, knowledgeable about your practices. But in the ancient world, the point we're making is these men was getting wives, and it is what it is, man. You know, they was taking this wife, then they had this wife, and a lot of men now, that mind is still in you. Now you think you're cheating on your woman, man. Oh, I'm cheating. I'm bad. I'm a bad boy, right? I shouldn't be, brother. What are you talking about, man? Oh boy, I'm so wicked.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a wicked man. Boy, I'm so wicked, man. Brother, that's that poison. Now you're beating yourself up. I'm a wicked man. I should not be doing this. Oh boy, this is it. I'm gonna hear a mouthful. Right? I'm gonna hear my old lady's gonna lay it on me, man. Right? We shouldn't be doing this. But listen, man, the point of the matter is, back in the ancient world, men was getting having these wives, and it was all in order because women were submissive. It was the normal back then, right? It was normal for a man to have another wife. It was customarily. It was so different that, remember, Sarah gave another wife to Abraham. That's how different it was. When Sarah couldn't get pregnant, in her mind, it was completely normal to give her husband a concubine. The thing, a woman thought different. They were naturally submissive. Okay, my husband brought another wife. Okay, let's roll. Let's get this thing rolled. And it is what it is, man. So now you got general immorality and lewdness and false condemnation to your own self and false perceptions and madness. That's what the Lord said, hey, renew your mind, man. But you got it, King.
Con. And that's a good point, because women's thought process were different, man. Now you got women, husband about to leave the house. Where you going? Who you going with? Putting damn trackers on cars, man. Right, checking your damn location. You said you would be back at 10. Right? All just madness and wickedness, man. Damn. Got a damn pin on you, finding it. What the hell is this? Your woman then damn tracked you, man. I mean, this world is wicked, man. You got literally this video. It was this woman in the trunk of the car while her husband was doing God knows what. And she's listening, man. And then he hears something. He goes to the back with a camera, and then she sticks her leg out. I don't know if that video's still out there somewhere. She climbs out the car and says, I caught you. Straight up. What the hell are you doing? And start getting on him. So our women are destroyed. They're hanging on top of hooves, on cars, driving away. Right? It's domestic violence all over where. It's all through the spirit. It's all through the spirit of damn jealousy. You got it.
Yeah, they beating windshields in with bats.
Yep.
Right? They burning men. They be playing that video game. Burning a video game and they Jordans. Now I'm gonna make one quick point. I'm gonna pass it to you. Men do stuff deceitfully, right? And you're damn fearing your woman, and that's why you're hiding and tiptoeing because you're scared. But in the ancient world, these men were men, man. I'll put that out there. You got it.
Con. And this Sirach chapter 26:6. It says, but a grief of heart. What's it mean with your heart grief, man? It mean about to damn pass out, man. A lot of people, they have heart attacks because they grieve so much. They grieve when they see how their uncle is in the hospital, man, and he's on his damn death wish. They're grieved in their heart. Daniel was grieved in his heart when he saw the visions. So was Ezra. The Lord said, but a grief of heart and sorrow is a woman that is jealous over another woman. And if a woman is jealous over another one, it's no telling what she'll do. She'll break in your phone. She'll sneak her thumbprint on there. She'll say, grab this piece of paper for me. Have some plastic on it first. Then you grab it, and she'll take the plastic off. She'll wrap it, and then she'll do the thumbprint with the plastic. Right, just for her jealousy, man. Tiptoeing, watching you, stalking you, breaking into your phone. All of these things are through jealousy and scourge of the heart. Now, when you go to 2 Samuel, the 6th chapter, David had to base Michal out, man, straight up. He had to base her out. Job had to base out his woman. Jacob had to base out Rachel in the book of Genesis, the 30th chapter, man. Am I the Most High? Do I close the wound and open it? Like, who you talking to, man? So sometimes the men of the Lord, they had to check these women, man. And through jealousy, it's off moving in that spirit. And you see how the Most High judges women when they're jealous. You don't see how they could be jealous and they could do what they want and tiptoe around and sneak in and sneak out. No, the Most High judges them, man, because they should never move with that mindset to begin with. This 2 Samuel chapter 6 and verse 16. I'm going to start at 14. It says, and David danced before the Lord. So David's intentions was not to be half naked, man. He didn't attend himself so that everybody could watch and look upon his skin, man. He didn't care about that. He danced before the Most High. And when you dance, things happen, man. Right? You may knock off a watch, your ring may fly off. You may be dancing, your damn shoes pop off your feet, man. I was teaching once and my damn shoe came off, man. Right, rebuking the heathen. It said, and his might and David was girded with a linen of ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with sound of a trumpet. So everybody turning up, everybody glad. You got the men, women, and children. It's a damn party down there, man. We got the ark of the covenant coming back into town. And the ark of the Lord came into the city of David. Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw David leaping and dancing before the Lord. And we know how that looks, man. That grudgeful, that grudgeful Eve look, man. Just looking down. And I'm pretty sure she had a grin on her face. She was angry. She probably was pacing back and forth, checking every 5 minutes. He's still down there dancing. He's still having fun. He's still turning up. And that's what women do sometimes, man. Where you going with that fancy garment? Why you got to put on so much frankincense and myrrh?
Right.
What are you doing? Why you putting
Right.
oil in your beard?
Right.
It said, and Salakia, and saw the king leaping and dancing before the Lord. And know how the context keeps saying before the Lord, before the Lord, before the Lord. Because David's mind wasn't for the woman. His mind was for the Lord, man. And she displeased him in her heart. And they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in its place and in the mind of the tabernacle, in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering up burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well as the women as men, right? To everyone a cake of bread and good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house. So not only did he dance, offer up sacrifices, right, and turned up with praise, he also gave people wine, man, some cake and some meat to eat. They had a good time through the spirit. So
Right.
It says, then David returned to bless his house. Damn, that's spiritual, man. He came home to do the same thing he was doing down there with his wife. There's no telling why she didn't come down. You know, it's not written, but nevertheless, he came home to bless his wife. So he's coming in the spirit of the Most High home. He wasn't coming in the spirit to create strife or vengeance or to bicker, man. It says, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet him. So like it came out to meet David. Now, what do you mean she came out to meet him? I mean, she was right at the damn door. As soon as he came home, she came out to meet him. Like Eve, man, you get home late, and she's like this, right at the top of the steps.
Turning the light on.
With a bonnet on, man.
Right.
And a damn candle. Just waiting for you to come home. It says to meet David and said, how glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids and his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamefully uncovered himself. And David said to Michal, it was before the Lord, which chose me before thy father and before all his house to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord. And David didn't say that with common speech. He said it with bass in his voice, man. He said, it was before the Lord, man. I mean, he told us straight up, I don't care what you think or how you feel. I'm going to dance before the Lord. There's no account of David saying, well, you know what, you're right. I did, I was showing a little too much and I was turning up a little too much. I came home a little late. No, David's mindset was, I don't care how you feel. This is in purity and strength before the Most High. And I will be yet more vile than thus, and will be base in my own sight, and of maidservants, which thou hast spoken of, right? Of them shall I be had in honor. Therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child until the day of her death. So, I mean, the Most High shut up her womb, man. And straight up and down, the Most High judged this woman because she came at David. So it's nothing wrong with a man having multiple wives and, having a good time before the Most High. That jealousy spirit on women is going to overthrow them. You got it.
Yeah, and there's that word, that they use in the world, cheating, right? They'll say, again, we kind of addressed it, but they say, well, a man that, like I said, everything, we have to dismantle these Western philosophies imposed and really seared into our people's mind. I mean, it's complete madness. Now we understand we've been in this captivity, and things, may take time for particular individuals, for men, for women to understand, the will of the Most High and the Spirit. But they'll say that a man is cheating if he's talking to a woman who's not promised to or married to another man. Now, I was pulling up the statistics a while ago, and the majority of divorces that are done, a lot of these things are done because a woman may file divorce or a man may file divorce eventually because the marriage didn't work out because the man was caught cheating, right? In terms of dealing with the woman that was single, right? That's infidelity according to the so-called white man. Because according to the so-called white man, that goes back to the Greeks and Romans, a man can only have one wife, right? A man can only have one wife. Now, I want to get this precept real quick, right? So again, we have to be transformed by the renewing of our mind, that we may prove what is that good and acceptable will of the Most High, right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 18 and 4, the classic, right? This Revelation chapter 18 and 4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people. They gave be not partakers of her sins, and they gave receive not of her plague. So we have to come out of this system, right? We got to come out of this life. And again, if you're going into a marriage and a man desires another wife, it should be done in order, right? It shouldn't be done in stealth mode, or it shouldn't be done in damn sorcery, man. Things should be done. The Lord said, let all things be done decently and in order. Not some things, not just teaching on the highways and byways, or beating the nations down with judgments and confounding them. The Most High said, let all things be done decently and in order. And you want to examine yourself to see if you have the means and the ability to even do such a thing. And for a woman, if your husband desires another wife, and that's something that you struggle with, or the thought and the idea of it, express that, man. Right? Express that. Hey, look, I'm struggling. I'm dealing with this. It is what it is. And the Lord said, confess your faults, man, that ye may be healed. Men deal with things. Men have a hard time acquainting to not smoking weed and particular things of the world. And women have a hard time adjusting, from things of the world too, man. But we have to seek help. We're a sick people, man. We're sick. We're ill. Right? The Lord said the whole head is sick in Isaiah chapter 1 and 4, man. We have hundreds of years of indoctrination, right? And we have to get help, man. You can't hide and by excuses and, just folly and madness, man. Just coming up with reasons. Like using 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, and saying own means one. That's sick. This is a sick mind. Poisoned mind to want to even bring that out. Or to say, well, look, you're cheating on me because you're talking to another sister who's single, right? And you're married to me. Let me get one precept real quick, King Salakia. So we have a lot of work we got to do as a people, man. We have a lot of work we have to do as a people, right? Real quick, this 1 Timothy chapter 2 and verse, let's start at Salakia. No, I want 1 Corinthians 11, right? That's a good one, but I want 1 Corinthians 11. Salakia. This is 1 Corinthians 11 chapter, and I'm going to get straight to the point, right? 1 Corinthians chapter 11 and verse 8. I'm going to start at 7. For a man indeed ought not to cover his head, for as much as he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of the man. For the man is not of the woman, but the woman of the man. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. And that's the mentality of a lot of our people, right? That your husband is yours. No, your husband is Yahweh's, right? That's how it works. Your wife is yours, but you can't say that your husband, that's mine. No, your husband doesn't belong to you. Your husband really belongs to Yahweh. And Yahweh Shah belongs to the Most High. Right? That's why it says the Slakia. For Slakia, let me read that. Neither was the man created for the woman, but the woman for the man. So, like I said, we're a sick people, man. That's my husband. You're talking to my man. You don't eat my man. Right? Well, he talking to my man. That's my husband. Right? You can't have her. That's me. Well, you gotta get rid of that mind. Right?
Salaki, real fast. It's a song that say, "Don't mess with my man. I'm gonna be the one to bring it to you." So
See
it's
that?
them fighting each other.
Yeah, yep. It's this TV show called it's called For My Man. Right? It come on the ID channel. These women do crazy stuff for their man. They murder, they loot, they rob for their man. Right? They do it all for their man. That's a famous saying. That's my man. I heard him talking to my man. No, that's Yahweh Shah's man, man. That's Yahweh Bashmi. He's created for Yahweh Bashmi Shah, man. And you're created for him. So we got it, like I said, these stumbling blocks in our people's mind, we have to get rid of it, man. We have to completely remove the Western philosophies and have that ancient mind, right? But you got it, King. They said you brought out the singing voice, Ak. Right? You see that? And like the brother said, there's a lot of songs about that, man. You know? You got Jake that got songs in the 90s simping for the women. Then you got women making songs in the early 2000s, 90s, like the brother going into for my man, man.
Right.
I mean, it's just backwards. Women is committing adultery. Jodeci, they got a song about them taking the blame for it, man. That's my fault, and they singing, and it's just backwards, man. But you got it, King.
Khan, and I want to bring out this quick precept. It's Iraq, right? Chapter 33 and 19. It says, matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 18. Hear me, O ye great men of the people, and hearken with your ears, ye rulers of the congregation. So who the Lord speaking to? The rulers, the real men, the men that's going to stand up. He's not talking to little boys. He's not talking to men that are double-minded and scared of women. It says, give not thy son and wife, thy brother and friend, power over thee while thou livest. So you can't get nobody power over you, man. Giving somebody power over you, you'll read First Esdras, the 4th chapter, and you'll see what power is, man. You put your power in a woman, and next thing you know, she overthrowing you. She telling you what to do. Sit, rise, up. Right? She'll say things like, if you don't behave yourself, you're not blank tonight. And then you start to change yourself. Why more black women should consider marrying white men. New York Post. Madness. That's madness. It says, and give not thy goods to another, lest it repent thee, and thou shalt entreat for the same again. Meaning you'll be overthrown if you do these things, man. You give your strength over to your son. Now he's saying, what's up, Daryl? He coming in the house. What's up, Daryl? What's up? You cook? You cook? You got my allowance? Then he'll throw the table over, man, and go to his room and lock the door. Right? You get too much strength over to your woman. She'll take the car keys. You say, where you go? What the hell is going? Where you going? I'll be back. And you don't see her for 3 days. So, I mean, if you start to yield your strength over, it's no telling where it'll stop. So you got to lay down law and be a man in your household, man. Straight up. You got it, Ken.
Khan, let me get this precept real quick, all right? Let's go back. Let me get this real quick. This is the book. Slacky, bear with me. 2 Samuel. And before I make that point, that article, right? Why more black women should consider marrying a white man. Now, I'm not going to put this on all of Eve. Now, this is recent. I'm led to believe, I can be wrong. You have righteous women who would still, you know, if their husband decided to marry another man, it would still, what they say, hold it down. But a lot of women, they'll leave, man. They'll deal with the so-called white man. Or they'll be independent. They'll rather be independent. I'm leaving. Taking the kids. right? I'm taking the kids and we're going back to mom's, right? We're going back to damn Mississippi. They'll rather leave and take the kids, man, and be independent than to deal with their husband, man. You know, like I said, our people are sick. This is not just us getting on Eve. We get on Jake too, but we got to get on Eve too, man. You know, it's a just balance. Oh, and those guys hate women. Just because we're bringing out the scriptures, you know, it doesn't mean brothers hate women, man. Right? This is just the raw, honest truth. You know, straight out the scriptures, man. So we have to learn how to love our husbands as women, man. And men have to learn how to love their wives as men. Submission goes a long way, man. We clearly broke down that a man can have more than one wife, right? Plain, right? But a man and a woman have to learn how to pattern their relationship off of Yahweh Bashmi Awashai in the church, man. Right? I was going to get this in 2 Samuel, but let me get the classic in the book of Ephesians. Actually, let me get Hebrews chapter 13 and 4. Right? Hebrews chapter 13 and 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. But whoremongers and adulterers, the Most High will judge. So the Most High said marriage is honorable in all. Right? That's better than a boyfriend, girlfriend, a fiance, baby mama, baby daddy. And he be boasting of, that's my baby daddy. Right? You do that, man. And Jake, you do that too. That's my baby moms. Kicking it with the baby moms. Going over there smoking weed, man. Flirting. You know, her dude at work. You talking to her. It's just, Jake, you just got all types of sick tendencies, man. And lewd behavior. The Most High said marriage, a man being married to a Israelite man, being married to an Israelite wife is honorable. The Most High is well pleased with that. Right? And that's what it means to bed undefiled, because a defiled bed is a bed of sin, a bed of fornication, a bed of homosexuality, a bed of incest, a bed of pedophilia, a bed of bestiality. These are lewd, immoral acts that can defile the bed. But a man, an Israelite man, and his wife, that's a righteous thing, man. You know? Now, how do I say? A man that takes another wife, like we're going to, has to be done in order, right? It has to be done in order. You know, even like if I was going to, things have to be done according to the law, right? Brothers have to be studied in Leviticus, the 14th chapter, or the 15th chapter, rather, right? You have to be studying Leviticus, the 18th chapter, about not taking a woman to vex her sister, to uncover her nakedness and commit to all types of lewdness, man. Things have to be done in order, right? I saw this video, this Eve rapping Summer Walker. She was damn near naked, man, with no clothes on in the music video, but she was pregnant. And she had to be like 5-6 months pregnant, maybe 7. And I think she had a burger in her hand, man. You know? So we like I said, we're a sick people. You got it, King.
Con, that's sad.
Yeah.
And now people think that's cool or something, man. Right. You got damn Glorilla making wickedness on a pedestal, man. Right? It's the book of 1 Esdras, chapter 4, and verse number 18. I'm gonna start at 17. 1 Esdras 4 and 17. These also make garments for men. These bring glory unto men, and without woman cannot men be. Yeah, and if men have gathered together gold and silver, or any other goodly thing, do they not love a woman which is comely in favor and beauty? And letting all those things go, do they not gape, and even with an open mouth fix their eyes fast on her? And that'd be a lot of Jake, man. They're just gaping, meaning staring and oozing and oozing, and opening in their mouth, man, just gaping, fastening their eyes upon a woman. And have not all men more desire unto her than unto silver or gold or any goodly thing whatsoever? A man leaveth his own mother and brought him up in his own country and cleaveth unto his wife. He sticketh not to spend his life with his wife and remembereth neither father nor mother nor country. Jumping down to verse 23. I'm gonna start at 22. It says, but this also ye men, so like ye must know that women have dominion over you, man. So I mean, straight up, you got certain women that'll have dominion over a man. Do ye not labor and toil and give and bring all to the woman? Yet a man taketh his sword and goeth his way to rob and to steal, to sail upon the sea and upon rivers, to looketh upon a lion and goeth in darkness. And when he is stolen, spoiled, and robbed, he bring it to his love. So, I mean, the spirit of a woman is not the right spirit of the Most High. That man, that could overthrow you, man. You could rob for a woman. You could steal for a woman. You could yield all your strength to a woman, and it'll overthrow you. Jumping down to verse 26, the classic. Yet many there be that have run out of their wits for women and become servants for their sakes. And that's what they do, man. Right? The roles are reversed now. You got men cooking and doing the laundry, and women coming home with the two-piece suit, right? Women are doing, I mean, things are jacked up in the society now. Used to have men in the ancient world. They got down with their labor, their work. They brought forth money. They were herdsmen. They dealt with the cattle. They went to war. They led. They went in some prophecies. They was praying and fasting and leading the congregation. A Job was so on fire, he was praying and doing all of the priestly duties for his whole house, man, just in case they did evil. Now men can't even be in the house, and they don't even know if that's their kid or not, man. Everything is so backwards how we fell from a nation. We got to come back to being strong. Jumping to verse 30, it says, and taking the crown from the king's head, and the woman to take your crown off your head. And that's spiritual, because she'll take you out of the truth if you yield too much unto it. But a righteous sister, she can uphold you in the truth, man. You about to fall. You need help. You need somebody to fast with. You know, you need somebody to help you out through hard times. And, you know, your woman, she giving you scriptures. She's uplifting you, encouraging you, exhortating you. I mean, that's what you need through the spirit. It says, and taking the crown off the king's head and setting it upon her own head. She also struck the king with her left hand. And the woman will smite you, man. And spiritually demote you and take you from your office of being a man and trickle it down for you being nothing. And certain people let a woman get them out the spirit so bad that they can't do the work of the Lord. We've seen it, man. Moping around, right? Sliding their feet. They don't want to live anymore. Slipping into depression. Taking the spirit slowly from them. And the Lord said the adulterers hunt for the precious life. That's manyfold, man. A woman will hunt your life in many ways. Right? This world will hunt your life. America will hunt your life. Right? Your woman will hunt your life. Your wicked woman will hunt your life. So you have to be careful about what you're getting yourself into. You can't look at it as a multiple wife. Oh, I can have somebody else to clean, somebody else to cook, somebody else to lay down with. Life would be much better. But that's another mouth to feed. That's another soul you have to care for. That's more blood on your hands. You have to look at it in a righteous mindset, not in a lustful, worldly, carnal mindset. If you look at it worldly and carnal, and you're not weighing the balance in your life, and if you could prepare yourself and handle it, the Lord is going to overthrow you, man. Let me get the classic. Right? I'm about to pass it. Let me get this quick classic. That's just what the Lord said, man. And we got to abide by this. We can't do our own thing. Right? It's the book of Romans. Salaki, bear with me. Chapter 8 and verse 7. Because the carnal mind is enmity. Right? I'm going to start at 6. For to be carnal minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace. Because the carnal mind is enmity between God, for it is not subject to the law of God. Meaning, if your mind was carnal, it's not subject to the law, because the law is going to teach you ordinances and statutes, what to do, how to prepare yourself, how to take a wife, how to deal with her, how to feed her, how to dress her, all of these things. So if you're carnal minded and not subject to the law, it says neither indeed can be. So the Lord is telling you plain upon tables, through multiple witnesses. Not only can you have a multiple wife, but the Lord also gives you counsel with having a wife. And counsel is all in the scriptures, for Proverbs, Psalms, Sirach, accounts that we read of our forefathers. You have to take also these counsels and apply them to our lives. You got
it. And I was just doing a quick experiment. I typed in what is a baby mama, and I went to images on Google, and it's nothing but Eve. Rather, Esau just pushes that spirit out there, or rather that's statistically accurate. Who knows, man? And then I was going into there's this article right here. It says blacks struggle with 72% of unwed mothers. See that? 72%, man. So if that stat is true, that's a big deal. That's a big deal right there. That 72%, rather these men are being killed unjustly or incarcerated unjustly. There's a lot of factors that go with that. You understand? But nevertheless, that's still a big deal, man. 72% of unwed mothers, according to this article, like I said, we can corroborate it and get multiple sources. Well, it belongs to Eve. And look at the devil right here. Look at the picture that he has right here with that article. Who is this Eve? What? If you could clearly see in the center, it's an Edomite. You see that? You see what Esau is doing? 72%. And then guess who's Eve? Eve is what? Esau. So what is he doing? What is he trying to say? What is Esau trying to say, man? Right? Leave your husband. Right? Leave that man. No matter what it is, leave that man and get with me. That's what Esau is doing, man. Right? Leave your husband. Leave the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native American man and be with me. And a lot of Eves do that. They get excited when they have a so-called white man. A lot of Jakes, you get excited when you have a so-called white woman. We see it at camp all the time. We see it all the time. And guess who listens more at camp? Eve with Esau or Jake with Esau? Or Jake, man. Jake is more inclined to come up and hear the words of the Lord. Right? All right. Would you agree to that?
Come.
Yeah, Jake could come up more and hear with an Edomite woman compared to Eve with an Edomite man. Right? And I wonder how many, maybe other camps, they can agree. But we've seen it years out on the highways and byways, man. Now I want to get this precept, right? I want to get this precept in the book of Luke, the 14th chapter. All right, St. Luke 14:28. Just dealing with multiple wives again. Because again, even though it's a lawful, things should be done in order, right? And a woman shouldn't be leaving her husband because she doesn't like the fact that he's getting another wife. Right? That shows the sickness in our people's heads, man. That's how Israel acted when the Lord went to the Gentiles. They was all jealous and bent out of shape, man. Oh, he going to the Gentiles. Right? Hey, the Lord could do what he want to do, man. The Jews were jealous when the Lord went to the Israelite foreigners, man. And the Most High didn't glorify that action. When you read the account, Barnabas and Paul waxed bold in Acts the 13th chapter and said, hey, look, we go to the Gentiles. And a lot of people was upset about that deal, man. They was upset with Peter. But Peter had to kind of correct them in Acts the 11th chapter. He had to kind of tell them what happened. So that spirit is not a comely spirit in the eyes of Yahweh Basham Yahushua. And that's right. Look, Slaki, real quick. Elder Caleb just said this through the spirit of power, Yahweh Basham Yahushua. Now I was and Gabar said this yesterday. Now check this out. This is Eve begging to bow down to Esau. Right? Begging. Lust. Let's see if I can find this. Look at this. Hold on.
Friend, neighbor is this. Check it out.
Lusting to bow down. Look at that. To king, look, walking on her knees.
That's sick.
Yeah, I told you our people are sick. We're sick. And I can't even really be mad at that because we're sick. It's like somebody with a mental disorder. And they take feces and they keep rubbing it on the wall. At first, you might be mad. You got to remind yourself, hold on, this person is mentally ill. Or like a child does things and you want to be upset, but you're like, look, their mind isn't there yet. So you can't really get mad. Our people are sick. You walked on your knees to King Charles, so-called King Charles, man, and said, thank you, thank you, thank you. Right? Let me play this again. Now, I hope this woman isn't somebody's wife.
Neighbor is this.
One more time. Like a dog.
He's like, all right, now that's enough. That's enough. Good girl.
Yeah.
He damn tapped her on the shoulder like that's enough.
Yep. So I mean, our people are sick, man. Right? That's one of the worst things I saw all week. Lusting to bow down to the so-called white man. Like I said, when we come back as a nation, we can't let the philosophies and the doctrines of the so-called white man destroy marriages, man. That's what he's worked hard to do, to break apart marriages, to create these stigmas, to put these false narratives in our women's minds, man. To enforce these the idea how relationships should work, how marriage should operate, what a woman should do, what a man should do. All of this is we're sick people. I'm gonna keep saying it, man. We're mentally ill. We got a problem. You know, I saw this one clip. One more point. This woman, she had 5 husbands. I think they was at Foot Locker or Lids or Detail. Or they were somewhere. She said, "Look, I got them all in order." And guess what? They was all in order. Right? They was all in order. So now you got women with multiple men. You know? One for the nails, rent, hair, gas and electric, car note, food, Uber Eats. St. Luke chapter 14 and 28. For which of you intending to build a tower sitteth not down first and counteth the cost, whether he have sufficient to finish it? And when you come into this truth, you got to count the cost, man. Even dealing with marriage and the concept of multiple wives, on one aspect, the man has to count the cost. Are you able to do this, brother? Or are you just moving in lust? Do you have a plan? The Lord said in Proverbs 24 and 27, he gave you step by step to build a house, right? He said, prepare thy work without and make it fit for thyself in the field, and afterward build thy house. Do you have a step-by-step process to build your house? Or are you just doing whatever you want to do, brother? Or are you counting the cost? Hey, sister, are you counting the cost, man? Now, it should be wise that those conversations are had while men are courting a wife. Hey, look, I'm thinking about having another wife, right? You know, those conversations, it would be wise to have them. You don't have to have them, but it'll be less problematic if it'd be less problems if you have those conversations, you know? So you want to have wisdom on how you build your house too, man. You know? And you got to count the cost. And a woman has to say, look, if my husband gets another wife, am I going to be able to endure? Maybe I shouldn't get married till I get my spirit right. You got to count the cost. And it's truth and marriage and life. Everything requires you to assess the risk. You understand, and weigh things in a balance. Everything, business, investments, relationships, your life in its truth. Everything requires investments and weighing the cons and the risk and the balance. Man. Even companies have an entire department called risk management. And yeah, men that sit down and go through these things, man. You know, and they report the information back to the CEO, and the CEO says, okay, look, you brought that information up. I hear what you're saying, but we're going to do it anyway. You know, and rather that works out, it's up to that company, man. You know, but you want to count the cost and see if you're able to finish this thing. It reads, less happily, after he had laid the foundation and is not able to finish it, all that behold it began to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. So marriages should be finished, man. Shouldn't be Israelite divorces. There's a lot of divorces in the truth, man. There's a whole lot of divorces. Rather it's adultery, or men are just lewdly putting away their wives, or wives are leaving their husbands because they got another wife, or it's just madness going on. You got to count the cost and say, look, am I able to finish and endure all things, man? But you got it, King.
Con. Right, and I want to pull out his last precept. And Most High willing, man, Jake was edified by this. You know, write down these precepts, go over the accounts from the Old Testament to the New Testament. I want to pull out the book of Isaiah, the classic, chapter 4 and verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man. So why is 7 women going to take hold of one man? You know, this is twofold, but nevertheless, you have to understand in the latter days of the earth, men are going to be high valued. Right now, you just got little Ray with a bottle in his hand. He's never home. He can't hold down a job. Hey, but the Lord is going to make the spirit of the elect man walking the earth like fine gold, man. And if you find this, man, hey, men are going to be cleaving. Hey, brother, can I get that breakdown? I mean, that's Amos the 8th chapter, man. They're going to be going from sea to sea, from the old to the young. Everybody's going to want to follow. No, I brought out in the, I don't know if it was on the Old Coach Cut channel, when I was doing a breakdown, that if somebody kicked down the door and all hell was breaking loose, and a man has a damn axe in his hand, or a knife, or a machete, or a gun, and he says, man, we're going to the east. I don't think nobody's going to rebuttal, man. They're going to follow. They see the spirit in, all right, we're going to the east. Then you just start walking, man. Women aren't going to be, what are you doing? Where are you going? Right? It's not going to be no damn manly dykes, no strong, independent spirits. It's going to be a whole lot of following. Like you see the mama duck and the little ducks, and all the little ducks just wobbling. They ain't asking no damn questions, man. They following the mama duck, man. Straight up. This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 12 and verse. Let me get straight to the point, right? 42. It says, for of all the prophets, thou art left us as a cluster of the vintage, and as a candle in a dark place. So the Lord said the prophets in the last days are going to be like a candle in a dark place. What's the dark place? Babylon. Babylon's the dark place, man. That's Job chapter 10 and verse 21 all the way down. This is the valley of the shadow of death, where you see murder, lies, pedophilia, sorcery, wickedness, idolatry, and all manner of workings of the flesh, man. And this is so dark that the only way you can see is by the servants of the Lord, because they're bearing a light, meaning they have the words of Yahweh Shah, which is that candle. You understand, which is the commandments that's going to have you to go on a clear path. So when you go to the book of Isaiah, look at this, chapter 13 and verse 10, it says, for the stars of heaven and the constellations thereof shall not give their light. The sun shall be darkened, and is going forth, and the moon shall not give her light. And I will punish the world for their evil, and the wicked iniquity will I cause ignorancy of the proud to cease, and the way of haughtiness of the terrible. I will make a man more precious than fine gold. So gold is a very, very precious, thing that the Most High has created. And the Lord is saying, I'm going to make men more precious than fine gold, even a man than a golden wedge of Ophir. So when you see that man upright walking the earth in the last days, women are going to cleave to that. They're going to want protection, understanding. A lot of women may not know how to read the signs and how to move in that day. They may not know that lightning strikes from the east all the way to the west. They may not know how to win, blows and what direction it blows in, man. You understand? They may not know, what stars and this constellation and what star's supposed to move and how the rest of them don't, and how the sun can tell you the time and the moon, the days, and they may not know how to read outside, man. But you may have a brother in the spirit. He knows which way the east is. He knows through the spirit of the Most High how to have a compass, man. He knows how to move, and the Lord is going to direct his spirit. And women, not that it's their fault, but a lot of them aren't as learned, or the Most High to give them the amount of spirit that he would give a man, nor is he going to lead them the way he's going to lead the man. That's why you have this prophecy. And women are going to cleave. Now, if you have proudness and bold spirits, and you're going to be left out there, man, to rot. The Lord said the bridegroom in the book of 2nd Esdras. Let me get this quick precept.
Hey, it's like while you get that, a lot of women may be mad right now. I'm hearing that. They're folding their arm up. I'm upset. I got it. I don't need no man. That's if that's your mentality, you don't need a husband. You were created to have a husband, for him to rule over you. So you do need a husband. We need Yahweh Shai. Ain't no way I don't need no husband. Yeah, I'm gonna be in the woods. I got it. Yeah, I hear what he's saying, but I know what's going on. Right? Hey, one more point, Slaki. You had the woman, I believe 1 Kings in 19th chapter. She said, we about to gather sticks that me and my son may die, man. They wasn't going to make it. Right? Said we may eat the last of this cruise or oil or food, and me and my son going to eat it, and we're going to drop dead. And then Elijah came and allowed her and her son to survive, man. Hagar and her son was out in the wilderness, man. Lights out. It was over. She was hiding in the bushes, and he was a dead man. So these are just two accounts, but you got it, King.
And two, even if you don't have a husband, you still need a man. You still need Isaiah, Daniel, Ezra. You still need the prophets, man. They're going to be the spirit and voice of Yahweh Shai. So even if you don't have a man, you still got to report to a man that reports to Yahweh Shai. It's no getting around it. You can't just negate man and do your own thing. It's the book of 2nd Esdras 13 and 33. It says, and when all the people hear the voice, Salakia, I'm gonna jump down. Salakia, let me get this other quick precept. I'm gonna get the voice. Salakia, let me get the Khan, you got it real fast. No, I got it. Salakia. This 2nd Esdras 16 and 32. This is what I wanted. And the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old in her ways, and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel thereto. So when it gets so hard out here to know where to go, because all the paths are grown over with thorns, thistles, and grass, you don't know which direction is the east from the west, the north to the south, and you have no understanding of where you are, and it's dark. You don't know how to start a fire. You don't know the basic operations of elements, how to form and how to survive and different things. It says the virgin shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. That's a prophecy, meaning it's going to happen, man. No matter how strong you are, how you have a Fortune 500 company and you're getting $10,000 a month and all of this, then you got a raise, you're a manager. The Lord doesn't care about those things. You're going to mourn in those days. The woman shall mourn having no husbands. Their daughter shall mourn having no helpers. So what is a man going to do? He's going to help you. He's going to help you when you fall. He may hunt for you. It's no telling how useful a righteous man can be in the days to come. So you have to embrace and take advantage while you still have the opportunity to be submissive and loving, so that the Most High links you and puts you rather with a virtuous, righteous man. Because if not, you're going to be overthrown through pride and arrogance.
That's right. That's right. I got this one more quick precept. This Isaiah 32 and 1. Right? Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock and in a weary land. So the Most High said a man is going to be as a hiding place from the wind. Now, when you read that wind in Jeremiah 51 and 1 through 3, Revelation the 7th chapter, 3 on down, that wind is the destruction. A man is going to be a hiding place from that wind. It reads, a covert from the tempest. So when that destruction and that hell will start kicking off, like Yahushua is our rock, we cleave unto Yahushua. You understand? When the floods of waters want to overwhelm our souls, we cleave into something stationary, something immovable, powerful and strong, a fortress, Yahushua. A man is going to be likened unto a fortress in those days, man. Reading on. Does that mean, let me clarify, does that mean just rush and hurt and just marry a man? Yeah, okay, I get it good. Let me go. Shalom up, right? I'm on my way over. No, that doesn't mean you rush as a daughter of Zion into marriage, right? You focus on getting your spirit built up, man, right? And learning how to be a sister and learning how to be a wife, man, right? And you learn from older sisters and you study the word of the Most High God and you tend upon the Lord without distraction. And if the Most High builds you up to be a wife, then all praise to the Most High, right? You just got to qualify everything because you never know what people's mind may be at, right? Isaiah 32 and 2, and a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind and a covert from the tempest, as the rivers of water in a dry place. That's deep. A man of the Lord is going to be like a river of water, not a drop of water. Rivers of water in a dry place allows you to live for days and days and days, man. Not a bottle of water in the desert. Continual living water. That's how a man is going to be. Not an Edomite man, right? Not a Moabite man, but the Israelite man, who the Most High has mercy on. As the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. So when that heat come in and that affliction, the same way Yahushua is our shadow and we abide upon his shade, that the sun may not smite us by day nor the moon by night, and he's a covert from the heat, pursuing the Sirach 34:16. That's how the Israelite man is going to be in those days, man. You know, so we have to, as men, work hard to maintain our relationship with Yahushua. I mean, we don't want to do things as the bride of Yahushua. We want to be chaste. We want to be submissive. We want to follow the word of God to a T. And likewise, shall the daughters of Zion be in that same spirit, man, and follow the husband to a T. And if you don't have a husband, like the brother was saying, you're following Yahweh Bashim Rashad, man. All right, but you got it, King.
Khan, I'm gonna bring out this last precept. Going into it, you know, you got to go over these accounts, man. These accounts are gold for you. This you got to lay this up in your heart so you know what to do in the days to come. You have to have a good balanced diet in the scriptures. Got to study prophecy, common knowledge, geography. You got to go into the parables. You have to go into the law. You have to be versant in everything because each part of the scriptures is going to help you out in the days to come, man. And you got to know that and remember that. But going into it, I'm going to get this last precept on it. This 2 Kings chapter 4 and verse 8. It says, and it fell on a day that Elisha passed on Shemalim, where was a great woman, and she constrained him to eat bread. So when she seen Elisha walking by, she understood this was a man of the Lord, man. This wasn't Reggie down the street, just breezing by with his boombox. This was a man of the Lord, and she constrained him to come eat some bread. Like your grandma. When you come, I'm just stopping by. No. Sit down and get something to eat before you leave. No, I insist. Right? She grabbing you. Well, all right, I'll go in. It says, and so it was that as oft as he passed by, he turned in thither to eat bread. Because it was an ancient custom for a righteous woman to help the saints on their journeys, man. To wash their feet, you understand, to lodge them, to do certain things. Read about that in 1 Timothy, the 5th chapter. That was a righteous custom. Because a lot of men, they didn't have cars, man. They were traveling. So they were tired. Maybe their foot be swelling, or they're thirsty, they're hungry, they need to sit down. They didn't have gas stations and Burger Kings, man, in the ancient world. So these men had to actually get a resting place. With rain, troublous winds and things like that. And it would get dark. They didn't have street lights in the ancient world. And everything set up, right? Stoplights. So it would get dark, pitch black outside. It says, and she said unto her husband, behold, now I perceive that this is an holy man of God, which passeth by us continually. Let us make a little chamber, I pray thee, on the wall, and let us set for him there a bed and a table, and a stool, and a candlestick. And it shall be when he cometh to us that he shall turn in thither. And why does she want him to turn in thither? Because being around somebody could bless you, man. You know, being around, like it says, paraphrasing extremely greatly, I have known by being around Jacob that he's going to bring forth a blessing, man.
Right.
Right? So, I mean, just being around somebody righteous, that spirit could rub off on you. The same way being around somebody wicked, that spirit is going to jump on them. So this woman understood the righteousness and how she should have a man of the Lord, right? Through the hand of her husband, through Elisha, dwelling in their habitation. How the Most High could bless them through their righteousness. So that's very important. Having a righteous man being amongst you, leading you, or helping you and guiding you in the scriptures. But you had some notes? Or I'm about
No, I don't
try
want to make
close.
one more point just to
Okay,
sum everything up. Just summing everything up. Thoroughly, it's been broken down that a man can have more than one wife, right? We pulled the precepts, we went into the scriptures. If you didn't see it from the beginning, rewind it from the beginning and see the great plethora of precepts through the spirit of inspiration of Yahweh Shah. Also qualifying, if a man does decide to take another wife, it should be done in wisdom, right? It should be something that's done according to the wisdom and counsel of the Most High God, man. Right? Remember, the Lord said all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. Right? All things are lawful, but all things edify not. That's 1 Corinthians 10, I believe, 23, if I'm not mistaken. So brothers need to understand that as you deal with this topic. And women have to understand some of things up that it's lawful for your husband to have another wife. Or a husband can have another wife. And it's wise to have those conversations prior, lest spirits befall your marriage, man. Right? So I just bring it up to close out. But you got it, King.
Con. Right? This is the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse number 2. It says, be watchful and strengthen the things which remain. So, I mean, that goes into heavy examination in the spirit to be able to strengthen things which remain, because you have to examine what's weak in your life, man. Whatever you got going on, it takes examination. You can't examine just on your fast day, man. That's hypocritical. That's very hypocritical. You can't just examine yourself in one aspect, man. But now because you're at the doctor's office, okay, this been hurting too, and this been hurting too, and this been hurting too. That's off. You're supposed to make sure your body's fit and healthy, man, at all times. Knowing what's sore, what needs to be done, what needs to be revamped, what you need to soak, what you need to massage, whatever the case may be, how you need to eat healthy, get on a diet. All of these things are important to strengthen up your body on a physical level. How much more on a spiritual level? It says that are ready to die, for I have not found thy works perfect before Yahweh. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come unto thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So the Lord telling you plain upon tables, if you're not watching, the Lord could come to you in the darkness of night and blow your candlestick out. And God forbid that you came into this truth for nothing. You've labored, you've read, you've fasted, you've done the work of the Lord, reading, praying, examining, giving alms, helping the sick, helping the widow, counseling, directing, prophesying, and it was all for naught because you didn't hold yourself diligent in the truth. So make sure you examining yourself, and most importantly, make sure you keeping these feast days, man, and turning up in mirth. That's a commandment. You have to be mirthful. So don't let the spirit of sorrow, compassion, or the cares that's affecting of this life choke you to where it has you to not yield forth righteous praise and sacrifices unto the Heavenly Father. So continue to magnify the name of the Lord, right? Do all that you can to magnify him. You got it.
Khan. And it is the feast of dedication to what the brother was going into, man. It's the feast of dedication. Thursday night at sundown is the new moon, right? Then Friday night is the Shabbat, and the last day of the feast of dedication is so-called Saturday night, right? So you have these high holy days coming up. So the Most High is giving you all of this righteous days and mirth and joy in the midst of a holiday season, in the midst of Christmas, so-called Kwanzaa, so-called New Year's, man. The Most High is combating that with the spirit of righteousness, right? This is the book of Revelation chapter 22 and verse 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So the Most High is going to render unto every man according as your work shall be. And you got to examine yourself and see, are you really doing the work of the Most High? Or are you slothful? Are you taking days off, weeks off? Are you indulging in your lust? Are you regressing and falling off a little bit? The Lord said, he that contemneth small things shall fall by little and little. In Ecclesiastes chapter 19 and 1 and 2, man. Are you contemning small things? Are you letting the little things just get away from you now, man? Right? Are you slowly just stop being strict when it comes to keeping the commandments? You used to kind of wear your fringes every day. Now you kind of wear them every now and then. Now you don't fear the Most High. You leave in the house and get something from the car. You don't have no fringes on, right? Sometimes you kind of keep the Sabbath. Now you kind of cooking a little bit on the Sabbath, right? Then that fear of the Lord leaving you. If that fear of the Lord start leaving you, then it's over, man. The Most High is going to render unto every man according as his work shall be. And it's a beautiful thing to pray for more fear to the Most High, man. That's going to keep you rooted in this thing. The fear of the Lord, that's the beginning of wisdom, man. That's a beautiful thing to pray for, that the Most High increases his fear in your spirit, man. So you don't go astray and go off, man. That's the foundation of everything, you know. But with that, we're going to close up. We take questions. Brothers can call in, or sisters can call in, right? At the number you'll see displayed below, right? That's 213-603-9096 for those who do have questions, where we always do the conference call. And the PIN number is 94809-305, right? For those who have questions, right? Don't hesitate. If you don't, again, if you haven't watched it from the beginning, watch it from the beginning. Take notes, write the precepts down, and get built up in the spirit and power of Yahweh by Shema Mashiach Malak Yahushua. All right, let me show this on the screen. It should be showing. Okay, Khan. All right, well, with that, Shalom, Brother Naquan.
Shalom, brother. Right.
Shalom.